That's it. There's not much to that quote other than just be as dramatic and over the top as possible.
One more time. Run it back. Run it back.
No.
Oh.
That was a Vader mic drop.
Why am I wearing a helmet?
Because we are doing another round of From the Helmet, hosted by your very own Star Wars guys.
Explain, what is from the helmet? What's that flashing?
That's a great question. What's that flashing? Great question. From the Helmet. If you were here for part 1, when was that? A few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Basically,
which, based on the views, you weren't.
No, we had some people
I'm just
there.
kidding. This is why we're doing a part 2.
Yeah,
Yeah. Liked it.
So the way this works from the helmet is this is basically like a draw of the hat. Obviously, we got Vader's helmet.
Yeah.
Because Star Wars.
Right.
You have to.
I am feeling kind of faint. I need the helmet back on.
Yeah. Uncle's going to be gasping the whole time to try and stay alive.
But you'll die. I tried to tell him, but he's like, help me take this mask off.
Let me look on this podcast with my own eyes.
It is
Since
too late for
every
me.
week. Jay Thomas, what's going on? Welcome to the
What's
chat.
up?
Every week we try and discuss, a little bit beforehand, hey, what topic do we want to do?
Right.
And instead of thinking of one topic, because that's always hard for us to come up with, we thought, let's all write down 3,
Yeah.
because that's much easier.
Because we can't think of one. Let's all
Exactly.
think of 3.
Right.
Let's think of 3, and then we'll throw them in the helmet. We'll randomly draw them throughout the live here, throughout the live stream, and whatever gets drawn, we'll discuss that topic or whatever for 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll move on to the next one.
Yeah, right.
We'll see if we stick to
50 to
that time limit.
What I love about this is this kind of show might be the most like what we do.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
somebody just says, hey, did you see? And then we're off.
And then we start going about
So
it.
Exactly.
That's
I love
kind of
it.
the idea.
Which that reminds me, welcome to Star Wars, guys. We are your hosts, myself, Nate, Mike, and you know him well, Uncle. Also Darth Vader for tonight.
Vader.
Love it. Dad Vader. So that's how From the Helmet works. We're going to throw our ideas in the helmet, and I want to make sure to mention, if you're listening, follow along and contribute. If you're in the YouTube comments, drop your comments, drop your questions, your topics. We'll write them down, and we'll add them to the hat, and maybe
I was going
they'll
to say,
get
we've been
drawn.
known to veer from time to time.
Yeah.
We love a good tangent. We love a good...
Absolutely.
Hey, that was a good thought. But also, we got something from the chat. Go, chat. And we'll just
Go.
go
Exactly.
off the rails. I love it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, if
Love
you've
it.
got some stuff you want us to throw in the helmet, we'll throw in that topic, that question, and then we'll add it.
All right. So do we put the topics in the helmet?
I think
that
this is a
what's
good
going on
look
here?
for me, by the way.
I think it is.
I like
Oh,
it.
I like the glove too.
Okay.
Gloves, both of them.
I've got shorts on, so I'm trying to keep my legs crossed and make sure this is not unsettling.
Yeah. We are going to have that paywall someday. When we do, I'm going into the robes.
I love it.
All right, let's
Into
throw
the robes.
into the robes. Throw them
All
in.
right. Throw them in.
Throw them in.
No.
I'll draw the first one, I guess.
Yeah, you can draw.
I love it. We also have no idea what each other's topics
We
are.
have no
No,
idea what
no,
each
no,
other
no,
wrote
no.
down.
I barely
So-
know what mine are.
Yeah.
Oh, this one's bad. Not mine. Who
mine.
was it?
Ooh. Or maybe it is
Let me
mine.
get this thing.
I was going to read the first one as a joke and go, why is top 5 reasons why The Last Jedi is the best Star Wars
That's the
movie?
whole thing. I was
Every
about to
single
read mine
one
and
of
go,
those.
La La Land. No, that joke's played.
The winner is.
All right, here we go for the first From the Helmet topic for tonight. Best Star Wars movie plot line.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
That was
okay.
mine. I was
I like
in kind of a best, most favorite
I
mood.
like it.
I have a couple of the I
So
have
it could
a couple
be
of
it could
those.
be favorite.
favorite
you know,
or best. Yeah, best
favorite.
favorite Star Wars movie plot
While you're
line.
thinking, what made me think of this is we were thinking about like I always talk to kids about good movie plot lines are usually pretty simple. Like you can explain it in a sentence or two, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Some too complex movies get criticized for
goes-
being rushed or hard to
Right.
follow or feeling like it lacks
Yeah.
the emotional weight because it's all over the place. Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that's your favorite.
Yeah.
There could
Yeah.
be some that are like.
That's true.
And then I was
Totally.
thinking, I'm not sure what some of them are. Like I was thinking about how do I define the plot line of Empire
Yeah.
Strikes Back? Like, what? I mean, are there like
Yeah.
It's an
things
escape.
or-
It's Totally.
So I wanted to see what you guys
I am
thought.
still
That's
unsure
interesting.
of what the plan was for Luke going into Jabba's palace when he's offering the droids.
Well, was it
Yeah.
supposed to go?
If it went well, what was that?
right.
C-3PO and R2 are now yours.
Right.
And we get Han, and then we all live
See you
happily ever
later.
after, except for the 2 slave droids.
Right.
What was the actual...
What was the goal?
What if he agrees?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there are... This is already a tangent, but it's funny because parts of that are
This
like...
is part of it.
Luke reacts to... Like, there's some stuff where Luke feels very much in control, but he, like, didn't expect the door to open and to fall into the
Nope.
Rancor
Yeah.
pit. So, like,
Nope.
there's a lot of stuff that you're like, how much did they have? And they said Leia goes in as a bounty hunter. Lando's been there,
Right.
but maybe Lando just likes it there.
Not doing
It's
anything.
this guy
Yeah,
chilling.
He went
that
ahead,
is chilling in the
scoped
back.
it out. And
That is true.
Lando's like, I wrapped up in a couple of games of sabacc and owed some
You know me.
Oh, it's
placing
some-
more bets for
owed some
another
owed
ship.
some bad money to some worse people. You know, I don't know, but that's a little tangent. But that's a good point of when you're thinking through it.
It's like,
It was
what
recently.
that?
I've seen that movie, 100 times over the years.
like,
and someone
how was
asked
that
me,
supposed to go?
"What would?"
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. I don't know. I just know that we got
Yeah.
Han back, and I was
We
happy.
got Han back, and I love the.
And we see Luke with the green lightsaber. We see
Yeah.
Boba Fett.
Maybe
Fett.
that makes a great storyline. The
Yeah.
fact it you don't care. Maybe that's a good movie.
Ooh.
You don't even
Ooh.
notice.
Yeah.
So 4 is like the simplest.
Yeah.
It's actually like a short amount of time.
Yeah.
It's almost
You mean
like real
very
time.
few
yeah,
locations.
It is real time,
Almost.
basically.
Yeah.
Except for
Yeah.
the end. There's 2. You get Luke getting with
Yeah.
Leia, and then
Little
the
bit of
second part with the
training,
Battle of
or,
Yavin.
Well, yeah.
Kind of
yeah.
like
True.
2 parts.
Yep.
But it's pretty simple. And then you got Last Jedi, which is there's multiple plot lines.
Yeah. They break
But
off.
again, we've talked about this. It's pretty short. It's them escaping to the planet. That's
Yeah.
basically the
That's
movie.
the movie. Yeah.
It
Which
is.
is simple.
They're on the run from the very beginning of it.
different
That's right.
people going
They're
different
trying to
ways, but
outrun 'em.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, you're right. The timeline, time-wise, it's pretty
Yeah.
short.
What's the most complex? This might help us. What's the most? What's? Is Rise of Skywalker?
I don't know. I
Skywalker
was
maybe
thinking
has a lot. I don't
Rise
know.
of Skywalker has a lot. I was thinking Clone Wars has some too. You get or
You mean Attack
of
of- I was gonna
the
say Clone
Clones.
Wars,
You
too.
get
Attack of the
you get
Clones.
That clones is a
Obi-Wan
lot.
going to Geonosis. That whole thing with
You have an
Count
assassin.
Dooku.
Yeah.
The
The
s-
and
Camino
to
Saber
the
Dart.
clones to Camino.
Oh, I would say
and
the,
Camino.
the whole, even just the crawl. If you think of the crawl as the explanation of what's
That's
going
true.
on. As soon as I got Trade Federation, I was like, wait, what? It's
Yeah, that's pretty.
they're more complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have a favorite?
Jay Thomas in the
Just shoot
chat
from the
says
hip.
Rogue One. Easy.
Yes. I
Rogue
thought
One's
of
great.
that.
I love. Yeah.
Simple, beautiful. It's just
And that's tough to do when you already know where it's heading.
Right.
Like, you already know where this is kind of leading up to.
right.
Maybe not to the exact moment. Like
Yeah.
I didn't know it was going to go that far. Like up right to A New Hope.
Yeah.
But we kind of knew the outcome.
Right.
And going into it, but then to add that extra stuff about Urso and
Yeah.
it's just.
I mean, I could be guilty of this myself. I feel like as time has gone, and we've done various little, I don't know if we've done recently like the podcast or anything like that, but we've done just even some fill out like your ranking of the Star Wars films and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And each time I rank it, I am surprised by how low. Now, again, spoiler, what ends up happening is that I love so much of. There's none of the movies I just like strongly dislike.
Yeah.
I have varying degrees of them, but that's how I finish a ranking, and I'm like, why is Solo so down on my list? And I love Solo. I think I like Solo
I
more
love
than
Solo.
the vast majority of a lot of people.
Yeah.
But it's like, but also, do I love it more than Return of the Jedi? No. Do I love it more than? And it like goes like
Right.
that.
It's hard.
But Rogue One is a prime example when I saw it in the theater, I think I walked out of that going, that may be the best Star Wars movie I've ever seen.
I
Just as a
remember
movie,
us
yeah.
actually saying that when we left.
Oh,
We're like
man.
that.
It was.
might
I
be
felt
the
like it had a
best.
good combination of the look of it.
Yep.
Looked original trilogy, but so crisp and clean, and it looked.
Yep.
I loved the
visuals.
coloring. The
were
visuals look great.
fantastic. Very.
We got more Vader. I love Krennic. We've heard me. I'm a Krennic fan. We've heard me on this podcast before. But also, it's one of those things I love it so much. And then for no particular reason other than when I tried to do the head-to-head, okay, well then you like it this.
Yeah.
No, I don't like it more than that. Okay, this or this.
It's
Well,
tough.
But it's also hard because the nostalgia is tied to it all too.
Yeah.
That's right.
All that stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm
that
trying
is
to think of-
doesn't help at all, other than saying that I think that the plot of Rogue One
Oh,
Yeah.
is simple. It fills in a gap that I think is really
what a shape of pose.
what a shape of pose. It's like one of the best. It's got the perfect the weirdness with the greats. K2SO is great.
Yeah.
Oh,
Can't wait to get more Cassian stuff. I
know.
think Jin was awesome.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's Galen Erso was fantastic.
I know.
Great character.
Yeah.
There's just so much of it that I love.
Yeah. I'm trying to
That's a
think.
great plot.
I think Phantom Menace is a pretty solid plot. Like you kind of get like, I understand. I get like you
It
start
is.
with young. You start with young Anakin.
Yeah.
But even though, like one of the criticisms, like part of our ranking, if you watch our ranking, we left it out of the the order.
We did.
We said it was kind of a bonus in terms of Anakin's story
Mhm.
because he's so young. The real like him becoming Vader
a
kind
little
of
bit like
starts
an
in-
outlier because
Yeah.
of his age.
Yeah,
It's not at all that we think it's lesser. It's
No.
really
Right.
because we're like, if you picked it up from this point, you would miss some of these characters that definitely
Yeah.
tie into different things. But the through line of the main
You'd
plot,
miss some Qui-Gon
You
and
got
some Maul,
Mhm.
but that was kind of the end of their story. I mean, until they brought Maul back.
Right,
But like
right.
that
even
was the
then,
end of
Maul-
their
But
story.
even then, Maul hasn't tied into the films moving past
Right.
that, other than obviously
Right,
a little bit at
but
the end
if
of
you're
Solo.
looking at the
Right,
movie,
right.
like if I'm trying to separate the plots just stand alone by
Mhm.
itself, I kind of like the fact that you've got this Jedi and Sith that you're like, oh, these are two of the main. You
Mhm.
got Qui-Gon and Maul, like these are the two main, I guess, side, good and evil
They are.
throughout this film, and then they both go down. You're like, wait, what?
That's true.
I don't know. It's interesting.
I
It's
got one
different.
for
It's
ya.
different than, I guess, the other ones. I don't know.
That's
In
true.
that sense.
I got one for you as far as plot. What about Revenge of the Sith? And the reason I'm saying this is we've talked. I'm not saying it's necessarily the best, but I do think that it could be in the conversation of. We talked before of when the prequels were announced. I think we talked about this last podcast. Maybe.
Mhm.
When the prequels were announced, the thing that dominated our conversations at that time was we're finally going to get to see how Vader became Vader.
Yeah.
And as things progressed, we also it's funny because when you in A New Hope, especially around the table of the Imperial officers, and it's Vader is sitting there, and you have Moff Gerard, and you've got Tarkin, and they're sitting there. It's small exposition, but they talk about the dissolving of the Senate.
Yes.
And all of this stuff, it gives you a little bit of just a glimpse into the political thing, but really the original trilogy doesn't go into a ton of the politics stuff.
No.
And obviously George goes heavy into it
Yeah.
with Phantom Menace and
Yeah.
trade blockade and all this stuff. But actually seeing the fall of an entire, not just the fall of Anakin, but obviously how the fall of Anakin leads to the fall of the entire Republic is also, it's such a big galaxy thing of how did we get this Death Star? How did we get this?
Mm-hmm.
You don't even get the rebellion without the whole plot of Revenge of the Sith, and obviously
Yeah.
there are things that led to it, but it just seems like as far as it delivers on, it delivers on creating the big bad as far as Vader, as
Yep.
far as like that big bad. But then also just the state of the galaxy, it's a big one as far as plot goes. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
And you get the cool nuggets of stuff that you just want to dive into of like Plagueis? Who's that?
Right. You
And like
that
you get these
hint.
little Easter egg or like little nuggets
Yeah.
of
Right.
here's something if you want to dive into this over here, get more into this Sith lore or Fall of the Jedi. Like
Yeah.
why is Ben the only Jedi we know of in A New Hope?
Yeah.
Well, you want to find out? Into the Sith.
Yeah, I like
It's
it.
a fun one.
I like it.
I don't know if we're ever
I
going
don't
to
know
get to
if
an
I
answer.
have a.
Do you have
a
an answer?
best.
No.
Good.
Rogue One. Four,
Yeah.
maybe 4. That's not fair. Rogue One.
That's what's hard is I'm trying to. I almost
Rogue One.
find myself staying away from the originals
I-
because I
here's the
know
thing.
that they're so good
Here's what's interesting. I would never pick Empire Strikes Back.
For plot.
Yeah, because as a movie, how can the plot line be the ending of that by itself is like, it's just it's like a disjointed,
Yeah.
upsetting non-conclusion. So I couldn't put that as a
The
best
middle
Yeah.
piece
plot
of the
line,
story
Yeah.
is the middle piece of.
right?
Yeah, I agree.
I wouldn't.
I mean, as
It's my
much
favorite
as
movie,
yeah,
but I'm not sure I would say it's the best
Best
plot line.
Plot.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
No, I agree. I agree.
hard. It also
the ending.
I like simple though. I think Rogue One is
Rogue One and
Pretty
New Hope
great.
is simple. Rogue One.
I love
like
the
Rogue
little
One.
time
I
jump
like
at the
Rogue
beginning
One.
of Rogue One. Too.
Yeah.
They give you a lot of A lot of I
Yeah.
feel like they give you exposition pretty well in Rogue One as far
For
as
sure.
here's the state, not just of the galaxy, but here are the state of our main characters, the family,
Right.
all this stuff. Fast forward, okay, we're familiar, and now we're going.
Yeah.
I'm trying not
That's
to be too incendiary. I'm on a Last Jedi kick.
Yeah,
I'm trying not to
I
drop
know.
that bomb in the middle here.
I know. I love.
Rogue One.
Do you know how
Last
many
Jedi
times I've
talk.
almost said Last Jedi? I was like, I love it. They know I love the Last
let's
Jedi.
just-
And by the way, we'll do a full.
It's like putting on a MAGA hat when you're just walking down the streets of New York City. You just know.
You just know.
You don't have to do that. I mean, it's cool. I wouldn't do it.
When you're doing it,
There
you
might
do.
be a time for that. I'm
when-
just saying maybe not every day.
If you're
Yeah.
doing that, you do.
And so far, our Last Jedi has been every day.
If
Every
you're
day,
doing
right.
that,
That's true.
regardless of whatever your feelings are, if you're doing that, it will elicit a response.
You're
Yeah.
going to get a response.
You're not doing that trying to blend.
When you're ready to drop a bomb, I'll put on my. We should have those for Star Wars Day.
This is the Last Jedi hat.
Make Star Wars great again. Last Jedi.
Last Jedi. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Anyway.
Yeah, we'll do a full Last Jedi episode where we'll rewatch
We
it and then
will.
we'll do
We
it
will.
because there's. I almost did it again.
I've
Yeah,
said
it's
too
not-
much.
Next topic.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Draw.
Why don't we do we'll add in from the helmet, strip from the helmet. So every one I'll take
Ooh.
off another another garment.
Oh, by the way, $20 in the super chat. Uncle takes off the road.
20. I'll do it for 5.
Oh boy.
I'm paying them, right?
Yes, exactly.
No,
That's-
sorry. It's
That's exactly.
talking about incendiary.
Do the Sith or Jedi have? Oh, okay. I like this. Do the Sith or the Jedi have more knowledge of the Force?
Ooh,
this is a good
love
one.
it. Is
That
that
was
yours?
mine.
That's yours?
That was mine.
Man, I feel like mine was stupid. Which movie's good? That was mine. And Nate's like in the wheels of the Force over here. Which movie was fun?
I love it. No, that's a great one.
I
Those
don't
are
know
both
what
good.
made me think of it.
That's
was
why I
just
love
trying
this.
to
This could be
avoid-
all over.
Awesome. I'm going to take my other 2 out and think of 2 more because
Can we start over?
I'm
love it.
embarrassed.
Dude.
No, I think
That's
I
great.
don't know this. I just, you know me. I'm starting to. I always get, There's 2 things I go to. Last Jedi is number 1. Other ones are always like Old Republic stuff. I always
Yeah.
love talking Old Republic, that time period. And then I was thinking about that, and it made me think, which have more knowledge? Not which is right or which is wrong, but what side actually contains more knowledge of the Force? And what made me think that is because I was thinking about how the Jedi are always telling each other not to tap into this, avoid that, because that leads to where the Sith are like, I'll learn anything. I'll take it all and I'll do what I want with it.
That's right.
Which made me think, maybe do they have more knowledge of the Force, but they just are consumed by the evil?
Ooh.
Or
interesting
is
question.
it more knowledgeable to avoid certain things of the Force? I don't know.
That's
it's a tough
interesting.
question.
I mean, if you break it down, like, who do you think knows more about the Force, Yoda or Palpatine?
Not necessarily which is right or wrong, because I would
No,
argue
no.
Yoda
Not
is
who
right
is-
in the fact of, yes,
not who has
avoid
better
this stuff
judgment.
because it's
Yeah.
going to lead to this. So there's a certain amount of the Force I'm not going to dive into because I know it will lead to
Not
bad.
not wisdom.
Right.
This is not,
Not
who has more
wisdom,
wisdom. It's
just
just
which has
who
more
you think knows
knowledge.
more about it.
I think 2 things are at play here. We can assume that I have a snack. We can assume that the knowledge of the Force is information. I think that might be
Yeah.
the wrong way to think about it.
Yeah.
Because if it's just
It's
information,
not understanding.
you could argue
Yeah.
that by going to the dark side, you're actually
You're showing a lack of
shutting yourself off
Yeah.
from certain elements of the Force.
Information.
That's right.
That's true.
So as you are open
Yeah.
to more things, you're actually turning away from
other stuff.
Other things.
Yeah. Agree.
Because my first thought is, well, the dark side does. The Sith do.
Yeah.
Because they know the light.
they know they have certain abilities.
But there's
so they-
definitely stuff on
But
the light
then
they
I think-
don't know.
That's right. I think they're actually leaving.
Yeah.
Because they're missing a huge portion of the light by not.
Mhm.
For instance, Force ghosts.
Yeah.
Sith are not Force ghosts.
No.
There may be some other stuff, but we've never seen a Sith Force ghost as we know it from the Jedi's perspective. So there's things on both sides that. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know if there
also
is an
your.
answer, but-
It's also like you said if you go to kind of like our interpretation of knowledge, or like you could argue, like you were saying, misinformation, or just someone who's constantly they're learning about things that are helping them down this path. But it's interesting because like is there just an unlimited amount to know about the Force? Unlimited, and split down the middle. All this stuff on the light, all this stuff on the dark, and if you're on this side, you might be going off into these vast galaxies of down this evil rabbit hole of
I can now do
Eternal
this
trying
this
to
and
do
look
all
in
this
the-
stuff.
Yep.
The Sith Eternals, these acolytes, all this stuff that's the Sith magic, dark secrets, all this stuff, and then on the light, this life after death, this preservation of your Force ghosts and being able to communicate from the afterlife. We don't see anything as far as really communication from the afterlife of the Sith. It's hard though. It makes you feel like because my initial response is there's definitely we've seen there are different Force abilities that certain Sith immediately kind of Anakin immediately unlocks, and Dooku is able to do stuff that but doesn't mean that Yoda doesn't know how to do it, or he just knows that I shouldn't do that.
Right.
Like, because Yoda catches the Sith lightning and and sends it straight back at Palpatine, so I don't know if Yoda's like studying. I've been
And Rey
like,
does it on accident,
and that's just tapping into her.
Like
that's just tapping into her
aggression.
anger.
It comes out.
Yeah.
So it's hard to.
I don't know.
It's
because I started even thinking deeper, like going to like World Between Worlds. I'm like, is that like Palpatine knew all about it?
Yep.
And he was trying to get into that with,
That's right.
with Ezra. I wonder. I mean,
listen.
I guess maybe I just have Yoda as an understanding of like he just knows all things, but I don't know how much he actually knows. How much does he know of the World Between Worlds or not? I mean, we know Ezra and Ahsoka do,
Right.
but
It'd be hard to think he doesn't know about it.
Yeah. What's the?
yeah, it's tough.
Here's the thing, right? Is it possible to know about something and not know something?
Know
Like-
about it, but
But not know it. Like I know they exist, but I don't
Right.
tap into them or dwell on them or try to I mean, I'm aware of like dark elements in the world.
Yeah.
right.
I know they're there, but I know the danger and I don't tap into those things.
Yeah.
I don't seek them out. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
I wonder
That's a
if
good point.
that plays into it. Knowledge of the Force is that meaning ability or understanding? What do you
I mean,
think?
as far as the light side and dark side,
Could
also,
be either, I guess.
I love
or
the
both.
Yoda quote. It's not the quote isn't necessarily about Luke asks Yoda, "Is the
Is
dark,
the dark
side
side
stronger?"
stronger?
Now it's again different than more knowledge, but when
Right.
we talks
Right.
about light versus dark, the
Yeah.
quote of just the Yoda says, "No, quicker, easier, more seductive," and it's like it'll help you in a battle when you tap into your anger to defeat your
Right.
enemy.
Chat's got some good points on this too.
What do we
Exactly
got,
what you're saying.
Chad? What do we got
Luke
here?
in chat said the Sith have more skill. I think that's kind of what you're saying. It's easier in battle, maybe to tap into some of these things. So have more skills, but maybe the Jedi still have the same knowledge via books and temples and like think of the stuff that they actually
It
have.
feels like the skill. That's a
learned
great
over
point.
time.
Kind of feels
I
like
like
the
that.
skill Yoda wasn't able to defeat Palpatine in a battle. But the Jedi have more it goes along with the knowledge, but the more wisdom, the knowledge of the Force of what what it leads to. I mean, one big flaw of what the Sith know or just their decisions is obviously their rule of two. Is just such an obvious. They take on an apprentice and openly know eventually this partnership ends with me either killing you and getting a new apprentice, or if things go really well and I teach you everything,
Things go
you will
really
get.
well.
And that literally is the philosophy.
Right.
You will get so we both want
You'll
power.
become so eager.
You'll become so powerful that you'll want to take me out. If I do my job right, I will have created an apprentice who is so strong and so powerful that you'll want to kill me. And then one of us will kill each other, and then the cycle goes on. And that in itself is such a not just a red flag as far as philosophy or teaching goes, but also it feels like a lack of knowledge of. You do realize if you wanted to continue, if you still wanted to go on your dark quest adventures, all this stuff, But
If you still
but
want to go on your
focus-
dark adventures, your
focus
quest,
your
you can
dark-
by all means go
focus
do
your
that.
dark crusades on your enemies instead of everyone being your enemy, even the people who are with
Yeah.
you.
Right.
Again, I'm not trying to give hints to the dark side about how to clean up their act,
They are listening.
but no, we got some dark side followers. Don't think we don't dangle some fruit here saying how much we
Right.
love Palpatine. That's intentional to get some dark side followers. No, I don't know. This is a fun one. No. You subscribe. I love it. That's a fun one. Do we have an answer? I love that so far we have no answers.
No
for any.
answers.
I
They're just
think-
breakdowns.
I think the Sith do.
Ooh. No.
Next
mean-
question.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't. I feel like Maul, even
I
Maul,
think
who
they-
was cast aside, knew a ton about everything he was diving into with the Sith Temple and gaining knowledge through the holocrons and having to mesh the Jedi and the Sith
Right.
holocron together to obtain more knowledge and like.
But I think the Sith have more knowledge, but I think it's the curse of the ring. Like they may have more understanding
like-
of all of the elements and what they can do, and they're able to tap into either side if they want to.
But it's like corrupted.
But they're
and misleading.
they're
like
so
because you know
drawn
what
into
you-
it. The hatred locks them into a pathway that keeps them on this trajectory. They
Yeah.
can't really embrace the light.
yeah.
They're forced to
Yeah.
not, even though they know it. They're forced to avoid
Yeah.
the light.
That's
so.
that's
like that.
Ben's entire struggle.
That's right.
I like
Was-
that
was
way
I
you-
know I'm not supposed to have.
So
Temptation back
they
to the
know
light
the
that I
light
am.
side, but they have to resist it. They can't give into it. And the Jedi say, we don't want to know the dark side. We don't need to know the dark side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the Sith probably have more knowledge of the Force, but they're still locked to the dark side.
I think
Either
that makes
side is
sense, yeah.
I
locked
agree with you, and I think
at either
I
path.
think
even,
that makes
even with that, there's like you said earlier, there are still certain elements that both sides know that the others don't.
Yes.
But you're saying that the Sith still probably know more of the light side stuff and dabble in both, but they just can't. They're
Well,
I think
the
they're-
reality is
they're
every
not.
Sith, well, not every Sith, but a lot of Sith there was light there. To
Yeah,
begin
yeah.
with.
Yeah.
There's
They
some
most of
pot
them
and
don't
most
start
of
as
them
Sith.
started,
fall
yeah.
to the dark side.
I like your example of the ring there too, of it being one of my favorites. Talking about like Abigail and I are both, my wife and I are both reading The Fellowship of the Ring, and even though this is, she's a lot further in the book than I am right now. But it's been years since I've reread Fellowship of the Ring. But I was just thinking about, this is actually unrelated to us reading it, but a movie part of Lord of the Rings, the quote from Gandalf when he's talking about, and Gandalf and Galadriel, when they both talk about them being powerful, but how even with the best intentions, if they had the ring, it would completely take
too
over
much.
them, and
Yeah.
and
Be
Because
consumed.
instead of a
they're
Dark
too
Lord, you would
strong,
have a
yeah.
queen, and
Mhm.
all, and Gandalf
Beauty.
talking about like
Yeah.
I would desire to do good with the ring, but through me, it would unleash a power.
Horrible.
It does feel like that, of like Yoda's like,
Yeah.
I don't dive into the dark side. I don't want to know that stuff, because also if you're tempting, it's like if you're tempting with sin or you're tempting with anything, of the more you're spending around it and doing that. Also, if this is a greed thing, people are tempted by greed, both on the light and the dark, and the Jedi check themselves there, whereas the Sith are like more and more and more.
Mm-hmm.
If you see what power is, if you're powerful, but you see what extra power is actually right there for the taking, the Sith, it draws them further and further, and the Jedi
Right.
are like, I don't even want to look at it, because as soon as I give in to the temptation of stepping across the line to see what's over there, then I go further and further and further, and then
it's like an
it dominates
addiction.
your destiny. Yeah.
Once you've had a little bit, you need more to now fulfill you. So they want more and more
That's right.
power. To
But that
consume
does
more.
make sense that in that thought process, because the one side has just gone further,
Mm-hmm.
they have explored more, they know more. They just lack the wisdom or the
Yeah.
control now to
I think it
like to be able
consumes
to-
like
consumes them.
Yoda will embrace the Force to do certain things. The Sith are bound by.
Yeah.
They're slaves of it.
I like
Yeah,
that.
I like that. Yeah,
They're
good.
slaves of
Yeah,
it.
that's-
Instead
I
of
love it.
masters, they're slaves.
yeah.
They're slaves.
Yeah.
Love it.
That also brought up a point Jay Thomas said. Side question. It's kind of on this topic too. Is are you born good or can you be born into evil?
Ooh.
And I think
Are we still talking about Star Wars? Man, that's a good question.
I don't know. I feel like that's tough because we see a little bit with Rey. It's like you may have been born of Palpatine, but you can still be who you want to be.
You have a choice. You have the only person that I can think of is Palpatine in the Darth Plagueis novel. It doesn't mean he's necessarily was born and was bad, but as far as I know, he never had any moment of being on the light. That it was like he was a child and went through, but he ended up killing his own parents. And this is part of the Palpatine thing. Killed his own parents, did all this stuff, and just went full dark, evil. Plagueis finds him, brings him in, does all this stuff. But it was like from a pretty young age, he was just I don't know if he was. I haven't read the book in a few years, so I don't remember if when it started they were like, oh, he was a sweet kid, and then something happened, and if it was like I don't know if it was like a Voldemort scenario of like he was kind of a kid who was mistreated, and then stuff happened, and then it takes off, or if it was just I don't know of any babies that are just pure evil. Usually stuff happens to them, but I do know that's when we were talking earlier about most Sith fall. At least most of the ones we've seen. Palpatine's the only one I know of that from what we've gotten in the novels that was like he never was a Jedi and then became a Sith. He was someone who was discovered to have Force users who was doing some bad things, but also was kind of pressed into doing some bad things. Yeah. But immediately had like no regrets about it. Which is Palpatine. Is the epitome of evil.
Right. Something there, man.
Yeah.
Right.
Love it. That's a fun one.
That's great.
All right.
Next one.
I just put a jelly bean in my mouth.
Love it. That's the best time. We're gonna do our jelly bean cast.
Are you supposed to eat on a podcast? I don't think so. Sorry about that.
Hey, Mando. We're eating Mando. This is another one of mine. What
none of mine have been read yet. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. No, I'm kidding. Go.
What non-Jedi character would make a great Jedi?
Ooh, man.
These are fun.
I'm taking mine out of there. I'm telling you.
Uncle's next one is which Star Wars story has the second best plot? No. The plot question was great.
What's your favorite Star Wars color?
I was thinking about this and how it could go kind of two ways. Like, which character, based off their character as a non-Force user, would make for a good Force user? Either, I guess, Jedi or Sith, but in this case, I guess Jedi. Or which character would you like to see as a Jedi? Kind of slightly different question, but either one could be. Like, which one are you like, oh, I'd like to see them as a Jedi. I wish they would have gone further with this. Or which one would actually, like, morally make for a good Jedi?
Yeah.
Either one.
I don't know if it necessarily fits her character. I mean, like, I'm glad she isn't. But who I think would be a very interesting Jedi because of her personality would be Rose. Would be an interesting Jedi.
Yeah.
As far as we don't have a ton.
I like that.
Of the, I mean, we do have. I think they definitely explore some of the different Jedi that are a little bit more meek or a little bit more. I mean, Jedi in general are not super. I would say are generally not super aggressive or super, but she's like to the max, kind of like, like insecure or a little bit back, kind of feeling like, oh, I don't know but like seeing an actual Jedi with a saber who's kind of like, a little bit more hesitant or a little bit more, would just be interesting. I mean, because we get Qui-Gon, who's definitely about helping everyone. He is. But he's also the rebel. Like he's very much defiant against.
He's not afraid to
He's not afraid
to
turn a die, turn a chance cube. By the way, side note, I am reading Master and Apprentice right now.
Yeah, you said that.
And I'm halfway done with the book, and it is fantastic. Claudia Gray, you've done it again. By the way, I don't know how she writes so many books so fast. She's cranking out these books like crazy.
It's amazing.
But she's writing High Republic stuff, and then this came out right before that. It was great. But
it's cool.
I don't know. Rose is one I thought of. What do you think, Nate?
That's good.
Non-Force user Jedi?
I don't know.
Hey, looks taken
Jay-
back. This was his question.
He's
He's just
thinking.
caught off guard.
No, I
We'll
was
get
reading
something to
chat.
share.
Jay Thomas. What's the guy? How do you pronounce the I'm one with the Force. The Force is with me. How do you pronounce his name?
Emway?
Emway.
Yeah.
Is it Emway? Emway?
Emway?
Churret?
Emway? Emway? Yeah.
Churret Emway? Jay Thomas said.
That's what's in it. Donnie Yen. That's yeah.
Yeah. Said he wanted to be a Jedi so bad.
Man,
I'm one with the
he
Force.
deserves it.
He deserves it. No one was
does.
more dedicated to the Force
He
than
was
he
the-
was. Even Master Yoda was like, impressive he was.
He wiggled his way into some Force ability.
It's like if you want it bad enough,
You can have
the
it.
Force like,
Could we add in a Sith? as
Yeah,
well?
sure.
Yeah.
Which would make for a
Wait,
good
so are we just turning someone Sith? Or just someone bad that we were like,
There should have been a Sith Lord.
ooh.
I don't know if I have anybody in mind. I was just thinking that would be. Is
Jabba.
that an option?
Jabba. Give me a.
Jabba's Force lightning out of his tail.
You watched Last Jedi not too long ago. Give me
Easy.
Captain Kennedy, who's the fire on those cruisers, like the
Yes.
the First Order dreadnought. One of my favorite characters in Last Jedi. Yeah, he's so
Should have been 10 minutes ago.
he's so good.
Oh, that just made
Talking
me
about a
think
guy
of a
who
good
just
Jedi.
eats up a scene. Like that guy's the perfect. He's the classic. We're talking about the British.
Oh, yeah.
Commanding officer,
He's great.
but who's just like immediately I'd be like, sir, yes, sir. Like he's just
Yeah.
commands and has just this.
Yes.
Can you imagine Tarkin?
Oh
as a
man.
Jedi, or as
Gosh.
a Sith?
Some
He-
characters.
he
would-
would-
He might be more evil than
I
Vader.
was thinking like some
More evil than
characters,
Palpatine.
it would ruin them. It would ruin the character. Like
Yeah.
Right.
Han Solo, that would just ruin
No,
it.
it just wouldn't
Yeah.
work.
No way.
I
Yeah.
don't want to see Lando as a
No,
Jedi.
I agree.
No, it's
just-
weird. Like I was thinking through all these characters. Like who would I? Oh, it would ruin that character if they're a Jedi. It would.
Yeah.
What would that do? I was thinking, what about from? I mean, it was a little off the rails, but it's not movies. But Harris Syndulla as a Jedi would be.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
yeah.
She would be
Spectacular.
so good.
Spectacular.
I mean, that would be
Hera's
so
great.
cool.
Hera's a great
Hera's
character.
so great.
Yeah, those
Pilot.
Rebels characters are just so
I
good.
know. I know.
Yeah.
That's when I thought that would be
Hera,
cool.
that's such a good one.
That would be cool.
That's so
Rebels
good.
characters are just so good too, because they also that's a perfect example of a show that just gets into like the whole, which is a big Star Wars theme, but like found family and the way they treat,
Right.
Like they would do anything for each other, and these are people that they just
That's right.
band of brother and sister,
So
who
great.
just not related at all by birth, and they're just
Yeah.
like, hey, we're
And-
joining and fighting the cause.
Courageous and noble, understanding that sacrifice is part of it.
Yeah,
Wise.
and Hera's got some
I mean,
skills as far as
Absolutely.
piloting,
gosh.
getting them out of a jam. I mean, she
Yeah.
rivals, talking about pilots in the galaxy,
Mm-hmm.
and also just someone who you want as like a general, or who you want someone
Yeah.
leading your team. Give me Hera any day.
I know. Hera's, yeah.
Would
that's a
it
great
would it
one.
ruin it
awesome.
if Chewie was a Jedi?
There's
Chewie-
there's
there's
the
a High
Wookiee and
Republic,
the
I know.
Yeah.
We think of that. I don't know. It might.
It might.
Yeah.
I like this.
that
might ruin
Will we see a live action? Like if we
Jedi
saw,
Wookiee?
obviously Chris Hansen's not a Jedi, but like think of seeing a baby with a saber.
Oh man.
Would it take you out of it at all, or would it be like, oh, this is just really cool?
Wow.
I don't know. Maybe maybe a
I
little
don't
bit.
know. It's
Um,
funny. I'm going Rose. That was
Luke,
mine.
I like Rose. That's good, and Hera's good.
I'm gonna go Major Domo.
Luke, Luke in chat
What'd you
brings
say?
up a good
Major
question.
Domo.
Yeah, that makes-
I'm going Admiral Akbar.
apologies.
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 Akbar. Oh, yeah.
Apologies.
Akbar.
That would be great.
trap. Double bladed lightsaber. His gills are flapping.
Oh man.
That's great.
Luke in
Akbar.
the chat said, "This is kind of This is good. If the Force goes through all people, are we all Jedi?" This is a great question.
It's a great
Ooh.
question.
Binds all things.
So
I-
here's my
You got it.
my understanding. There are.
M count.
I was gonna say there are those with a higher natural midichlorian count. As much as midichlorian in the prequels became like a
some people are.
the way that they would
Everybody's
describe it is-
athletic
Morons,
to a
morons.
certain point. Some
Right.
people are
So
born
why-
more athletic than other people.
That's right.
Why Rogue One is a good example is that is someone who's in tune with the Force, but doesn't have a high midichlorian count that has Force abilities to manipulate the Force, but can be in tune with the Force And the Force, again, spoiler alert, it's a mystical thing. But the idea that the Force surrounds all living creatures is a specific thing that they've said in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And in The Last Jedi, they talk about it. The Force is not an ability that the Jedi have, and thinking that it belongs to the Jedi is misguided, is arrogant, and is all this stuff. But the Jedi, the reason that they are selected and are chosen to become Jedi is that they have natural. They're like you're talking about athletes.
Basically, if you have this ability, you should use it.
LeBron James has some natural gifts that the average person, even the average person who plays basketball and tries really hard, can never reach. An Anakin Skywalker or LeBron James, whatever style of ability. There's
and with training,
you can progress.
Those skills can go deeper, and they can show you how to unlock things.
And vice
based
versa.
on your natural ability that you can find that other people can.
And vice versa. We heard Grogu talk about how suppressing he wasn't trained, so like suppressing his Force sensitivity to not be found and stuff like that.
That's right.
So like there's an element too of like or even Luke, like I shut myself off from the Force.
Yep.
To basically get to and not be in tune with it as much. So having some of that ability, you can also, like you're saying, you can grow.
Yeah.
Become stronger. Train. Otherwise, there would be no need for training if everything was just natural. You can obviously train and become stronger.
It is more unique than sports because I can go out on the same size court and the same size and have moments where I can shoot threes just like Steph.
The average person is not going to all of a sudden, you know what, I tried, and that's when the lightsaber came to me.
Right.
Yeah.
In the respect of the Jedi, those things are never, ever.
Yes, exactly.
So there's something about it that is, they have
level.
something in them that's
And there's a difference, I think, between
unique.
those, and I wish I could get the terminology right, but there's a difference between, again, going back to the Rogue One scenario, of being super in tune with the Force and having Force using abilities of like Force sensitivities where to become a Force user, Force sensitive, of like the reveal of Finn at the end of Rise of Skywalker of this is not just the Force didn't just guide me here. It's a feeling. I feel.
I know Rey's alive.
I know she's
Rey's
there.
Okay.
I can tell. Don't ask me why. I know it's this one. This is the one they're controlling it from. Aim at this one. This is where they're. You know. But yeah, it is. It's a. But the Rogue One scenario is interesting because that is one of the first characters we've ever seen who is not a Jedi and, to our knowledge, is not capable of moving things and doing it, but is so much a student of the Force and is in tune with like the natural Force and is like so much trusting the will of the Force that because of that he goes in his whole life has lived by a faith in the Force and a faith that I am going to just do my best to follow what I think the Force is trying to lay out for me or something like that. And so because of that, he's like, I trust the will of the Force, and I believe this is my intuition. This is what it's telling me to do. I should do this. But he's not able to grab my staff.
You're talking about
now
Rogue
I'm
One?
fighting.
Yeah. I agree, and I actually think that it's it's a spectrum. I mean, I think that's basically what we're saying. There's a spectrum here where you fall somewhere on that. Palpatine, Anakin fall on this side where they just wake up and mysterious things, they do things just naturally.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't sitting there trying to have dreams of the future.
No.
He just did it.
Nor was he just born. He was just born knowing how to fly with super reflexes, fly up.
Like pods
and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Those things are his ability to see things differently. But then there are other people I think that could develop that show no signs, but I think possibly could develop some ability. They're not going to move things around, but they might have intuition or like they would never know it, but it's there. But then the other people are way over. So
that's a fun one. I like that one.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a Sith now.
What? That would
like a Sith that would be
good to be. Who would be a great Sith?
Make a good Sith. I would say Kira, but
what about Phasma?
Phasma would have been
Phasma.
cool.
What a cool
Oh.
Sith. Like,
What about
explore that
what
character.
clone would make for a good Jedi?
Oh,
Clone.
man.
Like Rex? Yeah,
That'd be
name's
awesome.
Rex.
99.
99. 99.
99 had some reason to
If
go
I had
Sith.
my saber.
He had some
I
reason
would
to go
kill him.
Sith. He had a reason.
Oh, man.
Oh my god.
99.
Rest
How about
in peace,
Omega?
99.
Omega? Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't
Oh
know.
yeah.
Force user.
We don't know where she ends up.
We don't know.
Mm-mm.
Maybe she is.
I can't wait
I
to
can't
get
wait
some.
to explore that storyline.
I can't
miss
wait
it.
to get some Bad
Bad
Batch.
Batch too.
Oh, man.
There's.
We
I
left
will
it like-
say that I would put money on Bad Batch news / probably trailer coming Star Wars
Season 2,
Celebration.
another
It's gotta
Bad
be.
Batch.
Yeah, it's got to be because they initially
It's
was
so
going to be out by
good.
this time.
It was yeah.
And the way animation works, they work on stuff years in advance.
Oh, yeah.
Like
They're
animation
loaded.
takes so long to do. They're not like, you know what, we decided we'll do a second season and now we'll start working on it. They're like,
We'll
they
show it to you
announce
in
it because they're
2080.
like, it's
Yeah.
done. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Unless it's South Park.
Especially when they
6 days.
start adding in motion capture and all this stuff
Oh,
and animating over
man.
top of that now. With
Yeah,
Clone
I mean, the
Wars
way
and-
that it looks, the Bad Batch, the quality of what it looked like was season 7 of Clone Wars. It was
crazy.
unreal. Yeah,
So good.
It's amazing.
I love
Yeah.
it. Next one.
Next one.
Next one.
You want to read?
Next
You
one.
got one now?
Yeah,
I have
let
not
me
gotten a
see.
single one of my comments read.
What
Well, two
about
down.
Padme? Oh, what is this? Is this yours? Was the Book of Boba Fett different than you expected? How much do
Is there
we
a typo?
want a season 2?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Was this
Is that
you?
yours?
This is me. This was me.
Explain yourself.
Was the Book
I-
of Boba Fett different than you expected? How
Ian, how
much do we want a
Did
season
you add? You put 2.
2?
You
That was
snuck
a
in
part.
2?
That was a part of that.
Yeah.
The reason. So what I was thinking about
Goes
was
together.
Well, I was thinking about shows that I think we'll get that are coming, and I thought, do I think we'll get a Book of Boba season 2? Do I think that was originally in the works, and do I think that based off of the season we just got, do we think that we're getting another one? But then also, when I was thinking of that question, I thought, well, where it ended up is not necessarily where I thought it would end up, and so then I just thought, let's open up into just what, not of whether or not I think we all liked Book of Boba Fett, but what I will say that I think for me it was a little different than I thought it was going to be. As far as I think that what we got from the trailer, at least what all of the talk was after the first trailer, was really Godfather, Mafia,
Mm-hmm.
this, and it didn't necessarily. I mean, there were elements of that, but it definitely went a different direction. Spent a lot more time on Boba's backstory and stuff. Not
Yep.
a ton on moving.
Yeah.
A lot of it forward. I mean, obviously we got stuff with Cad Bane, and there was so much that was great there. Rancor, these things.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't necessarily see him as the crime lord very long.
Mm-mm.
A lot of it was becoming the crime lord and then kind of failing at the crime lord to try to get respect. And then when he becomes a crime lord at the end, it was kind of like, oh, I wonder where it goes from here.
Yeah.
And then it ends.
Yeah.
So that was kind of. I was wondering if you guys thought that it was a little different than you initially thought it
Yeah.
would be. Not necessarily saying it's negative, but if it was different than you thought it would be, and then also, based on what we got, do you think we'll get a second one? And if so, there's no wrong answer. How much do you want a second one? Is it like 10 out of 10 excitement level, 7, 5, whatever?
Yeah.
I was just wondering. What do you think?
I mean, I love the show. I definitely think it was. I mean, I would have never predicted. Like it was
No.
nothing like I was
I didn't see that
expecting.
coming.
I didn't see any of it coming. Not that it was
Yep.
bad. I just didn't
Yeah.
expect any of that
Yep.
to come. So I had no idea where the show was going to start and what they were going to do with it, other than the fact that Fennec was going to be part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's going to be sweet. These two are teaming up.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, you didn't predict that we would get a perfectly looking Mark Hamill
yeah.
from 1983
Right.
in the show?
Yeah,
Didn't
Luke in the
expect
chat
it.
said, was not expecting to completely take a break from Boba Fett for 2 episodes.
Nope. Didn't see
Fair.
that coming.
Fair.
That's
All of
true.
us were kind of
Wasn't
like, wow,
expecting
this.
that.
Even though we loved those episodes, it definitely took us back. We're like, we haven't seen Boba in a while.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I love the show. I think I have a feeling they may not do another season, and just kind of that is what it is. And then I think we'll see them again. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know, those characters aren't done with Fennec and Boba. They're not done. I think we'll see them in Mando.
Yep.
I think we'll see them in Mando. But I don't know if we'll get a season. I would like to get a season 2. I'm down to get another season. I just don't know where that story is going to go. Like, I feel like the conclusion of his story was, getting control of, that area there, his space, and reclaiming Tatooine and becoming like the crime lord. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it seems like he's pretty set on making Tatooine a better place.
Mm-hmm.
So I see it hard for him to just be like, oh, okay, I'm getting bored. Like, let's go off and do something else now.
Yeah.
I don't know. Unless there's another big threat or something that's, causing another threat comes in. But that would kind of seem similar to the first season. So, I don't know.
I don't know.
What do you think, Uncle?
I would like to see a season 2. And I'll tell you what, I've thought about this a lot since the show ended. I really think Boba Fett was hindered by Mando.
Totally agree.
And,
I was actually going to go here, too.
You were?
Mm-hmm.
The reason why is you can't make Book of Boba Fett a bounty hunter story anymore because we got one of those.
Yeah.
Can't retell Mando. So what I wanted most from Boba Fett was to watch him go out on adventures tracking down bounties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did he do this? How did he meet Vader? All this other stuff. But that storyline, that's kind of Mando's thing.
Yeah.
Because they initially, and people who don't know, Boba was off the table.
Right.
For Jon Favreau, who was a massive Boba Fett fan, and he's like, well, if I can't have Boba, I'm going to make Mando my Boba.
And I would argue
That's how it started.
I would argue that episode 1 of Mando is Boba Fett, just not Boba Fett.
Yes, that feels like the Boba Fett that I knew growing up, and that I.
Now I don't know about the whole I don't know about the whole Grogu part.
Yeah, that's.
But like the bar scene and the coming in.
Yeah,
bring you in warm, bring you in cold.
That is Boba Fett.
People are afraid of him. That's the Boba.
Right.
Yeah.
But, so we can't tell that story in the Book of Boba Fett because we're already telling that story. So
they took a crime lord route.
Right.
Level, like different level. He's no longer the bounty hunter anymore.
Exactly.
He's moving to a different area.
I will say,
so
I think
they've taken a character for what he's known for and begin to move him into an area that he's not known for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is hard because you don't
That's
know
tough.
if people are going to like that.
And there were definitely people that didn't like it.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So, if there were room for a season 2, I would say it's a Clint Eastwood scenario where the bad guys come in and they undercut everything he's created.
Mm-hmm.
And one by one, he hunts them down and kills them all.
Yeah.
That would be my season 2 of Boba Fett.
Yeah. Let me ask
They've
you
taken
this.
You actually
everything
made
away,
me think
and
even
now
deeper.
he's gonna get revenge on everybody.
Let me ask
you
you
changed my
this.
mind.
on this note,
Changed
because
my
this is
mind.
part of my kind of follow up to this too. Because I will say one of the things I didn't expect. And I'm not saying I didn't like it because I really like Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
They definitely took his character and made him more of a good guy than I would have thought.
They did?
Yeah.
And does that style of as much as I would love to see that, does that feel like that's where they set up his character, that he is the go hunt you down and kill you type right now?
Not right now.
But it feels like he kind of would have been going in, which is interesting. I do think it's an interesting. I do think it's a thing I've wrestled with a little bit of. I do understand a little bit of the criticism of feeling like the Boba Fett we got in Mando when he came back.
Yeah.
Was brutal.
That's
and
the
did
guy.
feel like Boba Fett of old that we knew growing up, even though he's. And then we told a backstory leading up to that time period, in which he is a little softened and a little. But I think that they are aware of it because they say things in the show like "You gotten soft in your old age, Boba," and he's saying this whole
people
stuff.
made you soft. No, they made me strong.
Yeah.
But I do get that he did come off, and I think it's also. I mean, I think that some of it is because they're trying to make Mando, even though I think Mando Virgil's good guy too. They have to have this different area that they're going in, and Boba's is a complete.
That's a hard task.
It's hard.
That's
but
hard.
I will say that's one of the big surprises I would say that I didn't necessarily see coming. Is
I agree.
If you go back to any of our podcasts going into Boba, we would talk about how. Well, he's not necessarily a bad guy or good guy, but he's definitely not like a good guy. He's definitely, from the things we know of him, he definitely is closer to the evil or to the brutality to this.
For money.
And
kinda
and we said like what we know
evil.
of him. What we know of him growing up is that he was opposite of Han Solo, our good guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Where at the end of this, it definitely feels a little bit. But I think that part of that is and the whole thing is that. He goes through a transformation and a rebuild and learning of this stuff. But that was definitely something I didn't necessarily see coming.
I agree. And I think going off of what you were saying too, of like they kind of moved him into this new role. I guess you kind of made me start thinking if they just grew on that role now that he's become the crime lord, I guess, and he's gotten Tatooine.
Mm-hmm.
If he sees those similar threats, but it's on a larger scale, like there's more stuff behind what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
then I could see him branching out to go do more things off Tatooine because they all have a result on what is leading back to what is on Tatooine.
Yeah.
Like if he finds out, the Pikes are actually, there's a lot more going on and a reason why they're even coming to do this stuff they're doing and taking on this is because they're in the syndicate and doing this and that. Then he's like, well, I need to go after all these people now and to really make sure I'm safe and move up and be respected as the crime lord. And
right.
So maybe they could do that in like a season 2. And I don't know.
Do we think that this was that finale of Boba was the big climactic cinematic event that they were talking about that they were building towards of this Mandoverse of these different characters leading to a thing? Or do you think that was a little thing and now Boba joins Mando for some quest of, the throne of Mandalore, retaking Mandalore? What I'm saying is, remember there was a quote from Kathleen Kennedy like 2 years ago talking about how they didn't mention Book of Boba at the time, but they talked about Rangers of the New Republic and Ahsoka and all of this kind of Filoni Favreau-verse connecting in this
like an
Mandoverse.
MCU type deal.
Yeah, that was their way of kind of saying like these different shows will interconnect and will lead to a big thing. And I was just thinking like, was the big thing was the Rancor fight the big thing? Because I don't think that was.
I don't think it is.
Even though I think it was.
I think
cool.
it was big for the show, but I don't think it's big in the grand scheme of Star Wars.
No.
So that's what makes me wonder if they've got bigger plans for Boba.
I think it's leading to.
But
to
also,
Mandalore.
I do. But also, doesn't it feel like? It does feel like we'll get back to
all roads lead to Mandalore.
Say it feels though like we'll be getting back to the Mando show though now.
Yeah.
And to more Bo-Katan and Boba could get.
Here's the thing.
Would Boba then do all this stuff on Tatooine and then get pulled off into something else?
Here's why I think Boba has a chance to get tied into that stuff. I think not only were they intentional, people give Star Wars a lot of criticism for like, oh, they didn't have a plan. I think they think everything is put in for a specific reason. I think they know exactly what they're doing. So I think the episodes that were put in to Boba Fett were not just put there to help set up a season 3 for Mando. Like I don't think they thought this is where season 3 of Mando is going to go, so let's put these episodes in here to kind of tie these characters together. But then also it gives a little more story that can back up, lead us into season 3. I think those specific episodes were in Boba Fett because they're related to Boba Fett. Why have the whole Mandalore, the entire Mandalore backstory of the 1,000 Tears, Night of 1,000 Tears,
Night of 1,000 Tears,
Night of 1,000 Tears, and explain all of the Mandalore stuff, not in the Mandalorian? Why would you explain all that not in the Mandalorian?
Not in the Mandalorian.
It's tied to the Mandalorian and it's Mando's story,
yeah,
but it's intentionally in Boba Fett's show. And I think that is because these things are going to tie and kind of lead to that, even though Boba wasn't in on that moment in the show.
Yeah,
it was part of his show because they're showing that it's going.
Is part of it also
Boba is going to become tied into this?
Is part of it though that also they had to tie? They had to give reasons why Grogu's going to be back with Mando starting in season 3.
Yeah, I think it's
and that because they have limited time to tell the Mando story, that they're like, he's got to. We've got plans for him and Grogu. We can't go spend. He goes and then he comes back and then we do this and then he comes back. I don't know, but yeah, because I think it is a little bit of both. I think they for sure used it, and maybe it felt a little jarring for us. So we were like, the Boba Fett show didn't have Boba Fett in it for a couple episodes, even though we loved the episodes.
Yeah,
it definitely felt like a Mando 2.5.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is funny because going back to, they said something recently. There was a, I think it was Bryce maybe was talking about Mandalorian, and she said something about like, in this whole Mandoverse thing and the Boba Fett chapter of and it was like the Boba Fett chapter of the Boba Fett season of The Mandalorian. Like it was like this was a Boba Fett season of still the Mandalorian show, which is, in all fairness, it feels like, and that's great.
Yeah.
Like it feels like within this whole Mando verse.
Yep.
We introduce, then we come in contact with Boba, then we go back to Mando. But remember Boba? Well, let's veer off and let's see what Boba's coming on. Then Mando comes back, and does feel like it's all woven into a big story. But because of that, I just wonder where they'll be going with it.
I think it's a clue. We're tangent here a little bit, which is okay.
Yeah.
I think it's a clue into how
what we
they're going to run these things. Like, we're not going to just be sitting here with the show is called This, and it's all this.
I agree.
There's no reason why.
And I like that. It makes you wonder, like, what.
We're going into
possible.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I'm thinking maybe he's not in every episode. Maybe he's not in every chapter.
Yeah.
Maybe there's an
Obi-Wan
entire
Kenobi.
Crimson Dawn episode.
Maybe there are other elements that they introduce that are part of the unfolding.
Yeah.
So
it's
on,
a different
on
way
this
of doing
note
this.
too,
Maybe
people have
not.
to.
I'm open to it. Like,
on
okay.
this note, people have to understand
Yeah.
too the way that these shows are made and the way that good showrunners or good creatives or even good business owners, they pivot, they adapt, they adjust, they see what's working, and then they go other places. People who are writing scripts, like, I mean, there's whoever of Tarantino. Tarantino's like, I write characters and I do this and this, and then I sometimes don't even know where this character is, and then I realize, this thing I'm writing
That's
for
not
is
who
for a
they are.
completely different character.
That's right.
And it's like, and they start with an idea and it goes
Yeah.
somewhere. But the I'm trying to think of who it was that I heard talking about. There was a I can't remember what book it was, but talking about George Lucas was initial plans for the Death Star. He said, like, and George is funny because he kind of has like revisionist history sometimes about his own plans.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
He'll be like, oh, at the beginning he's like, I didn't know if I'd be able to. I had this idea, this big grand operatic thing, and then he's like, it was always going to be 3. And then you talked to him like 6 years later. He's like, it was 6 from the beginning. It was 6, and then he sells it and he goes, well, you know, it was always 9. It was always 9.
Right.
Like, okay, George, we get it. Whatever they end up making, you were going to have further than that.
It was
always gonna
9
be
were
12.
in there, I think.
Yeah.
I'll give him 9 all the way.
For sure. And I do. I think that he had ideas for it and stuff as well. But what's funny is the Death Star. He talks about one of the reasons why the Death Star, he put it back in Return of the Jedi, is because it was initially going to be the big bad climactic ending to his saga. And that the saga. And the only reason he put it at the end of New Hope was because he thought he was only going to be able to do one movie.
Yeah.
That once he started writing it and started talking, and
That's right.
Alan Ladd
You gotta have an
Jr., he's
ending.
like, listen, I put my neck on the line for you, but I was only able to get you one. Like, this is one. He's like, well, okay, then
Wrap
I'm
it
going
up.
to move this up to here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because he's criticized for it, and understandably so, but he has even said in interviews, like, one of the reasons I put the Death Star back into 3 was because,
That
back
was the
into
whole
6 was
point at the
because that was
beginning.
when it was going to end.
Right.
So he's like, well, I'll do it again, but we'll make it a bigger and badder one.
It's
and
not
then
done
people,
yet.
and then obviously fans, it's funny now thinking back because people are so caught up in Force
Actually,
Awakens, The Last
that is
Jedi, and all of
hilarious.
this.
Yeah.
People are
Forget
caught
about
up
that.
in
Retconning
yeah.
right there.
And they're caught up
Well,
in.
just do it again.
People forget that
Do it
people
again.
were
Didn't
critical
work, try
of.
it again.
It's not even done.
For those of you who are even younger than I am, I'm 30 years old. Uncle's 28. Nate, how are you?
26.
26. Uncle's not 28. 29.
Notice I
but-
didn't bat an eye.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
People
28.
probably forget that there were criticisms of Return of the Jedi.
Oh yeah.
One, Ewoks, but
Ewoks, Wookiee.
but like,
I
oh,
get
it's
it.
another Death Star.
Ewoks,
Like,
Wookiee.
I get
people
it. They're small.
criticize JJ because Starkiller Base felt like the Death Star. George literally is just like
Just-
another
I'm not gonna
Death
call
Star.
it
We're
that.
calling it the Death Star again. The Death
Star
Star 2.
2.
It's great. He's like, what's the difference? Oh, it's a little bigger. It's a bigger one now.
Doesn't
There's
have
no,
that
no
flaw.
flawed
Yeah,
plan.
is it?
But it's still just as
Galen-
destructive.
But
Galen
that's,
Erso's head is on the top
that's
of it
the
on a spike.
yeah, exactly.
It's in the
Start
trenches.
blowing this one
That's
up.
it.
Oh, never mind. Just go
The,
right down the middle. Yeah, that would work
And
too.
this is the end of my tangent. But this is what
Yeah.
it made me think of it too. Is I recently heard some interviews of people were talking about the genius of Kevin Feige, about what he's done for Marvel and how, as a good producer, but also he's the creative director, which is it's a little bit different than even what Kathy Kennedy does. Is like Kevin Feige's the storyboard guy. Of like he's
Mhm.
connecting all these stories. And they were talking about how different. We were talking about how you pivot when stuff doesn't work.
Yeah.
How different the MCU would have been, where the first Avengers movie, instead of Scarlett Johansson being in there for Black Widow,
Yep.
Joss Whedon, the director, wanted Wasp to be in there. who ended up being Evangeline Lilly from Ant-Man the Wasp
Like
way later on.
Way on, yeah.
And they were going through it, and like this is the story he pitched. He's like, we're gonna do this. This is what I want, and then all this stuff. And he's going through it, and Kevin Feige's like, it doesn't work. He's like, that doesn't work because we've got plans for Black Widow to do this and Black Widow to do that, and then
You gotta
Scarlett
work
Johansson's-
within the.
We've already put in Black Widow in Iron Man 2. This is all set up towards
That's
this.
so weird to think if that happened.
And that was something that now, like, just thinking about taking her out, and even though it's not one of necessarily the biggest Avengers like a Tony Stark, but she's one of the core Avengers from the very
Right.
beginning.
Right.
But
She's
that's
like a
what
huge
good
emotional piece
creatives
between
have an
all.
Oh,
idea.
man.
Good creatives have an idea,
Yeah.
and they plan ahead. And then when something is working or not
adjust.
working, they go down this path and go, "This
Little
is really
things
working."
change as you adapt.
That was a
Yeah.
long story to say that.
Speaking of that, they
Yeah,
just
no,
changed
I-
again,
yeah.
and they do that. I mean, Marvel does
Yeah.
it a lot. They just announced that, like, is it this year or next year that the next Ant-Man and Wasp movie,
Quantumania?
yeah, Quantumania and the Miss Marvel's movie that are coming out are switching dates. So they're swapping dates with each other on release. So they
Wow.
decided to
So
release
you know
one
what
before the
happens
other,
before the other.
obviously
Interesting.
because of story.
Yeah,
for
you want to make
something
sure you see the right thing first.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's funny. You think about, man, they've had this stuff thought out, which I'm sure they have. But even coming down to stuff that's coming up this year, next year, they're like, actually, let's switch these.
Let's tell you this part first.
So
Yeah,
that's
cool.
that fits
interesting.
in perfect with what we're talking about as far as, do we put this thing in? Mando and Boba are overlapping. Boba's in Mando. Mando's going to be in Boba. But we need to get this plot device. We need this to move forward with Grogu. Who's to say we have to wait until Mando to do it? Like, he's in this part. We
Yeah.
know Mando's coming over. Why would Mando come over? Well, this is what's going on with Grogu and all of this stuff. So now he's kind of freed up. He comes, and then Grogu ends up meeting him there. And now we're off running for season 3. So I think that
we're all connected. It's
I think it all
big-
helps.
Yeah.
I think I understand why it was jarring, but it also
Yeah.
I think serves the purpose. And now it feels like a blank slate for season 3, which I think is what we want.
Yeah.
As far as
Yeah.
they're going off, and we're like, where are we headed? And that's fun as a fan base to feel like
Yeah.
they're in the N1 souped up N1 starfighter, and they're going, and we have no idea. Also, where do they sleep? You ever think of that?
They don't.
This is not where do they sleep on these ships, because Mando's an old ship, on
Right.
Razor Crest, plenty of. You're sleeping.
If he can sleep in the helmet, he can sleep in the chair. Just,
Yeah. If you
Just
can
sleeping
sleep on
in
a
the
bench,
yeah.
Carson Tevez pulling him over. He's asleep behind the wheel.
Ahsoka comes
Right.
up and
You're
he's
allowed to
laying on
sleep.
a
Been
bench.
drinking Grandpa's cough syrup back there? I don't know what you're speaking of.
Grandpa's
I don't know these words.
But
I'm going to go out
boys
on
were doing
limb.
a bit of boozing.
Boy,
have
the
you?
boozing, have you?
Grandpa's old
Uh,
cock.
I'm going to say yes to Boba Fett Season 2.
Yes, it's coming.
Yes,
Yes,
you
you
want
like
it?
it.
It's coming.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Nice.
Couple reasons. The wheels are there. I think there's a lot more room now with the Disney Plus
I
for
think you changed my mind.
for
too. I
things to
think we
not be. We don't need to hit a home run every time. There's room for them to. It's a vehicle for a lot of other elements, and there's a lot of story to tell. And those actors are not principally being used in other things right now.
If you bring
I agree.
Boba back,
I think
it's
it
there.
took this long to bring Boba Fett back.
Do one. I feel like.
Do you think he's gonna do just one, or even like
I
a
think-
couple episodes of Mando?
I think
or
they're
does it
gonna
feel
bring.
like
I think
We
it'll-
got to resolve both.
Yeah.
We got to resolve it. At least give us. I mean,
I
they might
agree,
resolve it
actually.
in another show. It could be,
Yeah.
but
I
I say yes.
awesome. Love it. Next one.
Next one.
What's your favorite Star Wars color?
What
I'm
if-
denying it. Whatever. It's a dumb
this is
one.
me. This is
I'm not
me.
gonna
I can
take
tell
that,
by
yeah,
Nate
okay.
saying this.
What if George Lucas had been given a 3-film deal from the start? What would be different? He likes
Oh,
sneaking in 2 questions at the same
man.
time.
I do this. So in
Well,
all
we already know one answer.
In all transparency, I heard this question asked somewhere else, and I didn't get to and on a different podcast, and I didn't listen to their full answer. I heard just a couple minutes of it, and I stopped because I was like, I actually don't want to hear. I don't want to be influenced by a lot of the thoughts
Huh.
there. But it was such a good question.
Well, your Death Star thing wouldn't have.
That
I mean,
that was something
was-
I had heard. I had heard that, and that was one of the things that then I didn't listen after that yet. But the idea here, what are some things that would be different if George from the start was greenlit? And there's multiple ways we could take this.
I don't think
Greenlit
old-
for 3 movies because George is someone who, one, I don't know where we would have started in the story. I don't think we'd start with A New Hope. Because George has said he's had this idea of the prequels and like
we may have started with Revenge of the Sith.
We may have
like
started
that.
with the Revenge of the Sith. We may have started.
What if Revenge
We
of the
also-
Sith was
George-
1, New Hope was 2, Empire or
George is
Empire
on-
and,
I mean,
Empire
and
Jedi was
Return
three.
were kind of.
We do know that
That's
George didn't necessarily have I Am Your Father from the beginning. So if
Mhm.
he's greenlit a trilogy from the beginning and he writes the whole thing all the way through, I don't know if that twist is even in there.
That's true.
Because it was a couple years later that that's how this will tie. This
I think it would have been worse.
Yeah. What are do you have any specifics as far as
The tidy ending of episode 4 wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a
Yeah.
clean beginning, end, hero, explosion, celebrate the
You
victory. We
even
wouldn't have
made me-
had that. It
yeah.
would have been, we would have had 2 cliffhangers,
Yep.
and we would have
Chewie
left.
wouldn't have gotten the medal. Well,
I think we would have left episode 4 feeling unresolved.
I agree, and I think
I
even
don't know, maybe not.
I was thinking the same thing, and I think even like old Ben maybe not have died in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
If he may have spent more time with Luke, training him more, and then
Yeah.
maybe died in the second one
Yes.
because he knew he had more
Maybe.
time to tell some of that story. He may not have had all of that happen in the first film.
Luke and Leia,
I
Luke and
just-
Leia, brother and sister. It either they would have kissed and they would have had a romantic thing they would have built there, and they never would have been revealed as brother and sister.
Yeah.
Or because it's hard to understand what the timeline would have been. Obviously, before George writes that they become brother and sister, he writes a kissing scene in there first. So his first thought with them was going to be little will they, won't they. That also just kind of gets at Han because Han
Right.
is. But obviously, he didn't have brother and sister from the beginning.
No.
So that ending is probably different.
Man.
There's one thing that one of the other things these guys were talking about
Interesting.
too is that because the Death Star was such a big thing, I never thought about this, but these guys were talking about because the Death Star, Georgia said was the thing. It might have been the big hanging thing over all 3,
Mm-hmm.
or because of this, it might have ended. It ends with this blowing up the Death Star is the big end where Luke's joining the battle is more of like he's joining the battle of Scarif. Like Luke is coming in earlier into the thing to try to get the Death Star plans. He's part of that because it's all to defeat this big bad. They finally get it. And then Trench Run, like he could be part of that. He helps get the plans, Trench Run, destroy the
Man.
thing. But it never gets to Empire and Jedi and the Emperor, any of that stuff maybe. Because Vader's the big bad. He has never really said anything about the Emperor in A New Hope. It's a lot. He does mention the dissolving of the Senate. So like the politics stuff is there from the beginning. And George has had I do think George is telling the truth when he's talked about some of these prequel, like when George is writing the prequels, that you get a glimpse of of this continuous story that he's had.
Mm-hmm.
There's also just real world things of how it would have changed. George probably wouldn't have gotten the merchandising rights because they would have been so if they were so sold on George's idea that they grant him a 3-film thing.
That doesn't
One
happen.
of the magical things of George Lucas was no one thought this was gonna be a hit, so George was like, "Cool, I'll take all the rights." And they're like, "Rights for toys? Who's gonna sell toys of this?"
That's right.
They thought nothing
I
of
don't
it.
believe anything. Yeah.
But if it's a New Line Cinema, we're betting on Peter Jackson. We're putting hundreds of $1 million into you doing 3 movies. This better be a home run. They were like, the budget of New Hope was $10 million. We don't think this is gonna be a hit. But if it's 3, now it's like this better be a home run for us because we're putting so much money into it. I don't know.
I keep going back to. I love this question. I keep going back to the first part of the question. How would it be different? My mind keeps going back to would it be better?
Yeah.
I can't help it. I keep thinking would it be better? And I'm a firm believer that the difference between success and failure is sitting on the head of a needle. It's that precarious.
Yeah.
If the wind blows one thing, it doesn't work. It failed. Not only does it not succeed, not only does it not become famous, it fails. Utterly fails.
Yeah.
And there's so many accidents that just kept that thing right there. One of them was the fact that we thought it was over. That when I saw there was another one, I was like,
It's coming back.
The excitement just went right. But if I went into the first one thinking I maybe not know that. Maybe they don't tell us that. But when it ends and I know there's another one, I just think the whole pressure of, the pressure of this has to work. This is the only. If I don't make this one great, nothing comes after it.
Yeah.
That pressure yields something special.
For sure.
The short timeline, the him feeling inadequate with the way the special effects worked and having to make the shorter cuts, the faster cuts, and all of those elements that made the space battles look the way they were. The fact that Luke is involved in the Death Star, which young Luke, and I mean, there's so many happy coincidences that occur because of the circumstances under which he had to make it. I feel like if you lift any one of those things,
I do too.
It could work. I just feel like the chances of it working ever are, the chances of hitting lightning like that are astronomical. If you change one aspect, my mind says it doesn't work at all. Like, it's not only is it not good, it's bad.
There's some really good videos on YouTube about, I think there's a video titled, like, how Star Wars was saved in the editing room. And it was talking about how George, after they've shot everything, this is not even
kind of movie. Kid.
This is not even like we're going back and we're reshooting stuff. It's not even that. It's we have filmed the movie.
Yeah.
And George is looking at it, but they had the introduction of Luke came at a different time. The introduction of Vader came at a different point in the movie. Introduction of Leia was, and it was, they were like, George is like, it didn't work at all. This is, imagine you've gone through, you have a script.
You filmed everything.
You filmed it. You've cast.
You're looking at this like,
you've cast a home run with these actors. You've created Vader. You've done all this. Mm-hmm. All of that stuff goes right. And still, if you don't piece this frame or this part of the story with this, and then you go back to the desert, and then this happens, that movie doesn't work. Just shows how hard it is to make.
With the ship.
It shows how hard it is to make anything there.
That's right.
Because they were like initially, what if we just start on Luke? And then they were like,
so many places it could go.
No idea what the state of the galaxy is. What's Luke? We're following, and then they're like, then we go to space, and then George was talking. There's an interview of these guys talking about how the different editors, and George even has some interviews about like did a test.
Fired the editor.
People were like, we don't even know what it is.
They can't. Nobody can do it, but
nobody can do it. Yeah, it was.
Well, Favreau said the same thing. He said, I just collect all these pieces of art, and then I sit down in the editing room and we make the movie.
Yeah,
we make the show. We make the show, and that's 100% true. So the lightning of this thing, I think, if you change, if you greenlight the whole thing, I just don't think it works.
One more final piece that I had heard from the podcast too. They were talking about the Death Star being the big bad, but the other thing they were talking about these kind of happy accidents of because George was like you're talking about George was under pressure, and because he thought some stuff wouldn't work. It's the Spielberg Jaws thing. Because the shark didn't work, the movie is made fantastic.
Because you couldn't see the shark.
Because you couldn't see the shark.
35 minutes or whatever until you see it.
That makes John Williams' music play differently. It has to build up the anticipation. It's scarier not seeing the shark than it is seeing the shark.
Had Spielberg gotten what he wanted,
it wouldn't work.
It wouldn't be the right movie.
And the thing with this was they were talking about how Billy D. Williams, the character of Lando, was written partially because they were afraid that Harrison Ford was not going to sign on for the third movie. And that they were like, well, we need a third guy. And George's initial thing was like, Harrison was kind of done after Empire, which we've all known, like Harrison said before, like he was just kind of over it and just thought,
we don't bring him back.
And he's like, well, we don't bring him back. And the plan B was that he would stay frozen in carbonite until the end of the saga. That was it. Mm-hmm. And that Billy D would replace him as the charm. And there's a reason why there's similarities in between them. And he'd be the charm, and he'd be with the group, and he's the swashbuckling swindler type of a guy.
But then
thankfully Harrison signs on, and then you get the magic of them both, and the chemistry of them both is what also takes them to a new level. The two. I don't
want to downplay any of the movies, but they did greenlight George to make 3 movies.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know.
Yeah. So it's great. Yeah, we know what happened when he made that first one. You're like, what is this? Yeah.
Everything got a little more drawn out, a little bit longer, a little bit. The pacing's a little different.
It's like you said,
it's just different.
It was.
Let me ask you this: had they made the prequels first, Would we get 4, 5, and 6?
Probably not.
I mean, I'm just curious.
True.
Maybe we
Maybe.
would. I love them.
How they started with the prequels.
I love them too.
Do we get episode 2?
Do we get episode 2?
Wow. Before we move on from this,
That's
before we
interesting.
move on from this,
Don't
just
know.
for 1 minute, let's think about what would a practical effects prequels have looked like.
Wow.
First, a 1970s prequel story and a
I'm trying to picture
digital blue green screen, tennis balls hanging from the head like they had to do
Man.
for Jar Jar. That's the Luke Skywalker era, though.
Man.
You got Han on a green screen. Like, what is?
Oh, man.
What if they were reversed? And what if you had? What if you're doing the Battle of the Gungans practical? Like you're doing the Battle of Naboo, in the 70s and 80s.
They're
like
all
this-
Muppets.
They're all.
How do you do it?
They're all
I don't
Muppets.
know.
It'd have to be stop motion,
Yeah,
and it'd have to be rear screen projection. You'd have to put everything.
They'd
on
pretty
the,
much-
they'd have to
yeah.
be coming
Man.
on the back.
They'd
back
look
There's a
like-
reason why they didn't do it that way.
man.
George couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luke
Interesting.
in the chat said we probably wouldn't have gotten Yoda.
it's true. I mean,
Right.
there's-
Kenobi may have died, not like I was saying earlier, maybe
That's
episode
right.
2 or episode 3.
Right,
But yeah, maybe we wouldn't get Lando. Maybe we wouldn't get Yoda.
man. You just can't change anything. You can't change anything. If you change
You
one
can't.
thing,
I love that
Yeah.
it just
George,
feels
while
like it goes
making-
off the rails.
while making Empire is already like. I think Harrison's done. Lando has to
Right.
come in now because we need him for the whole third one because we don't think he's coming back. And they talked him to come back
True.
one more.
There's a lot of controversy
great.
about Johnny Depp right now, and I get that. But he said something about acting, which I thought was great. We talked about this about editing. They asked him if he ever watches his own movies. He goes, "It's at that point, it's really none of my business." I thought
yeah.
that's
That's
great. He said,
interesting.
"I've already done my part. After
Yeah,
the movie's made and
theirs.
shown, it's really none of my business anymore. It has nothing to do with me."
That's
Beautiful.
This is unrelated. This
Because he
is
doesn't watch any of them. He's like, "It's really none of my business at that point."
this is related / unrelated. This is both related and unrelated. There was Harrison. I believe it was Harrison on Carson. Maybe Harrison on Carson, like 19. This is 82. This is
Vincent
Raiders.
Parker,
So,
welcome
okay.
to the
It's
chat.
either Raiders or this is Sorry, what'd you say?
I said Vincent and Parker, welcome to the chat.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah.
This is either Raiders or this was Temple of Doom, and they were talking about how it might have been Raiders. They were talking about okay, you've done Empire, you've done. He was on there promoting
Star
Indiana
Wars
Jones,
and Indiana Jones. Yeah.
and they're talking about how does like you go into a store, you see yourself on. You see Indiana Jones, you see yourself on lunch boxes. Like, what do you feel like when you see that? He said, I don't feel anything. That's not me. And there's like, what are you talking about? He's like, that's the character. He's like, I literally don't see myself on that. Like, it's a character they've created, and I just go, I act the part, and that's what they
it.
do with the thing after that is like.
It's up to
Then
them.
he's like, "Do you see like? But you see yourself on this?" He's like, "I really have no attachment to it whatsoever." And it was the most Harrison. He like
It's
was
awesome.
not really joking either. And
It's like I
awesome.
don't even recognize it as myself. Is basically
yeah,
what
and they're
saying.
like, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't. It's just that's the character. That's
I mean,
I know how that guy is. Like that's. I mean, there's some similarities there, and there's this, but it's
he's
that's-
right.
Yeah, and it's
If
funny
they
'cause
knew
it's,
me,
it's Harrison to the max.
They would never put me on a lunchbox. They wouldn't even want to spend time with me. I think that's what he's
He's
getting
like,
at.
that's not me. That's
That's
just,
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just a funny thing, and he's like, I don't.
That's
But it
great.
reminded me of that of like it's out of my hands now. That's
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
thing.
That's
That's
really none of my
what the
business.
production has turned my performance into, and
Yeah.
that's.
And then
he's
what
like,
they
I
do
don't-
with it is what they do with it.
Harrison's like, I actually don't. I don't relate to that at all. And they're all like laughing. He's like,
What's so funny?
that's not me. That's some. That's Indiana Jones. That's not me. Like, yeah, but you play. He's like, I really don't.
Yeah,
think
but it's
anything
not
of it.
me.
That's
Yeah,
not me.
it's-
Like, that's classic
That's
Harrison.
great. That's great.
It was great.
Hilarious.
All right, keep moving.
Next
That's a
one.
fun one though.
That's good.
That is
That's
good.
That's a fun one.
I like it.
As I promoted my own one. That one I put was
That
fun,
was
though,
a
right?
good one. The one I put in was great. Let's see what Uncle put in. What's your favorite Star Wars
Great.
color? I did put that in there, by the way.
Is this-
Mine's blue.
Is this 3 in a row for me?
This guy's
Oh,
rigging the
man.
system over
All
here.
right, all right.
This made me think of stuff going on with Kenobi.
Okay.
How much do we want to know / see before a series or film is released?
Ooh.
This is just
Ooh.
How much do you
I'll be
want to be
honest.
in the dark? How much do you want to see? Do you want to know nothing about it? Do you want to? Oh, he's giving a nothing.
Nothing. You guys make me watch the trailers. I don't even want to watch them.
You know what?
I want to be completely.
In the dark.
I went to see one. I went to
Into
see
the
one
dark.
movie. Listen to this. I went to see one movie without seeing any trailers. What was it? What was it?
Tenet.
Star Wars.
No, I think it was actually The Sixth Sense.
Ooh.
No,
Oh,
no
wow,
spoilers,
that's
even
good.
though it's an old movie. I don't
This
think I saw
one-
any trailers for that. I think that was the one.
Oh, that's a good one.
So
to go,
walk.
yeah.
Imagine going in with no
idea.
understanding. Like, whoa. So
Wow.
I will say that.
I kind of don't want to. I want to just totally be.
It's funny you say that because I was even thinking, like the marketing approach that they took with Spider-Man: No Way Home, I think was great.
Yeah.
The movie's coming out in like a month, and there's not, or a
Mhm.
month and a half or 2 months, and there's no trailer.
Mhm.
But it built up so much anticipation
Mhm.
for the movie because everyone's like, when is this? It got so it was trending like every day
It
for
made
2
it
months
better.
without even a trailer coming out.
Yeah.
It was trending every day because people were talking about it,
Just.
waiting
So
for
what's-
it.
Mhm.
Rumors are going around, but like no one really knows what's
always a
actually
tough-
going on.
It's always a tough balance because
Mm.
from a business standpoint, their job, they're trying to
They have
get,
to hype up.
Well,
yeah.
they're trying to get the word out for people who don't know that a Kenobi series is coming out,
Right.
Yeah,
and
They have to.
and someone they need to get it. And the whole
and
point
they have
of,
to show
They're not
enough.
trying to get us.
they've got
Right.
us.
Yeah.
They're not trying to get
get
people who do
And
a
they-
Star Wars
yeah.
podcast every
Right.
week.
and they have
we
to
know.
show enough that it's going to intrigue those people to be like, oh, this is.
I'm getting Disney.
It's not
Plus.
just back. It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
that's
this is
exactly-
back, and this is what it's about. This is cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But so what I look for, and because I also I don't like to see too much. Like
yeah.
I definitely don't like to see too much.
Episode 3 trailer.
Episode 3 trailer told you everything.
You saw my
Um,
our re-reaction.
It does.
I think what I
have
look
some,
for.
I have some thoughts about that too, which people misunderstood your. Go ahead.
I think what I look for.
Sorry.
I think what I look for now in a trailer, I like to get a little bit of just the tone, or
Yeah.
like the vibe of
Right.
just like cool. Give me a little like. To me, one of the best teaser trailers of all time is the original Force Awakens trailer.
Yeah, he
It's
wakes
great.
up
Oh
he's
my
happy
gosh.
with the stormtrooper thing.
Yeah,
Like what?
Stormtrooper,
Is
this. They show the troopers.
Yeah.
We show Falcon.
It's fantastic.
We hear John Williams score. Great. Got online. Bought
Just
my
tell me
ticket.
the date.
Done.
Right,
Like
right.
that's
Yeah.
it. And we don't need to know a ton else about that. We can piece the rest of it together
right,
then.
Right.
As much as it excites me, I don't like always saying, "Oh, here's the synopsis," or like, "Here's this character." I don't even like reading the stuff that comes out about Kenobi series of like, in this series, this is what Kenobi will be battling with. I'm like,
I
I
know.
know,
I
I do.
know.
I don't want to hear,
Give me the feeling.
or even like some stuff of
without
like, there'll
telling
be
me.
big
Yeah.
surprises of this character. I don't want to hear.
Yeah.
Or
I'll
like
be surprised
these
when it
quotes
comes
are
out.
like it's gonna be a lot more hopeful or a lot more dramatic or
Yeah.
a lot more sad than people think. And then all this stuff comes out
'Cause
about
my
these
mind
different
starts
movies and
going
shows, and I'm like,
to-
no,
Right.
I don't want to know this.
No, I want to
So-
make my own
Tell me.
feelings.
So I understand there has to be some stuff, and I
Yeah.
do look forward. I mean, I was one of the people that when I was excited, feeling like, oh, we're gonna get our first glimpse of
glimpse.
Ewan as Obi-Wan, but
Yeah.
I wasn't like, I didn't see the trailer and go like, give us 10 more minutes
I
of it.
want to
Like
know more.
I am not a.
Yeah,
I am definitely not a.
we do it for the
Oh,
channel.
I'm not one of those
And
people who
that's-
like watching now. A
Right.
thing they do on social media, or like they've been doing for Marvel and stuff, is like, Doctor Strange is coming out in a week. The first scene is released online, and there's like 7 minutes.
I don't
straight of
watch
first- I was like,
those.
I don't want to see that
What?
at all.
Yeah.
No way.
They released.
Yeah.
They did that. I think they did that.
They did that for Doctor Strange.
They did one the other day that was like a 5-minute long clip of some unedited scene of the whole
Really?
thing they promoted, and it was like, watch this first footage of Doctor Strange. I don't know if it's the opening scene,
like
but
a
it's like
whole
5
scene.
minutes
It's like
straight.
Amazon read the first chapter kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
and I'm like,
I don't like that.
I mean, I don't even like when they get into. I mean, I might end up having to not look at all the stuff. Like, I would suspect that come May 4th, if not sooner, we'll probably get another glimpse at Obi-Wan.
Yep.
Some more footage.
I agree.
And I would be excited to watch that. I hope it doesn't give too much away. But I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not there for like the couple of weeks leading up to it. It's like TV spot here, TV spot, 30 seconds here. This,
Looking
this,
for the
this, this. I'm
spoilers
like,
and all
I
stuff,
just don't want
right.
to hear anything else.
I will
after.
say, I do think Star Wars
But Star Wars keeps it a lot of stuff secret,
has-
anyways.
has
but
done just from a trailer standpoint and Marvel too, but I would say Star Wars even more so maybe. Very good at being pretty discreet about very intentional with what they put in their trailers.
Yeah.
I mean, that last Jedi trailer, it's time for the Jedi to end. I'm like,
oh,
it was awesome.
Yeah.
Also, did not give anything away.
Didn't give anything away. So
Completely,
what
they
does that
completely
mean?
Opposite of what-
change
Yeah.
you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's great.
And,
So
and I like
they're
that
very
stuff.
intentional with like they show some stuff, but you're also left leaving it like I that was sweet, but what did I just watch?
What
It
happened?
didn't tell me anything,
Right.
which I like because it's like you get a little bit of it. You're like, oh, that's cool,
Mhm.
but I also don't feel because there's some trailers I've sat down, I've seen commercials where I'm like, I don't even need to see this movie. I just saw the whole thing.
There are
think-
some that
I
you
think I
like.
saw
I
the
can,
whole
plot,
thing.
I can
I-
piece together the whole plot of
the whole
movie.
thing. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of my thoughts there.
Um,
So we're all kind of in a minimal.
yeah, and
Minimal.
going off this trailer idea too, Luke in chat said, Do you think anything from the Kenobi trailer is from beyond the first 2 episodes?
I was just thinking that. That is a great question because we
we've always talked
we
about
always
this.
talk about, have we seen this from the trailer yet?
Yeah.
Has that been revealed from the trailer yet?
Oh, 'cause-
and Mando season 1 was like the first 2 episodes were
Yeah.
everything. I
So then
think.
we
And I
went
will
into
say
Boba Fett
that's-
and we're like, oh, first 2 episodes, but then
We
there's
didn't
stuff
see
that happened
beyond.
later on.
Yes,
It's
and
a
I
great
will say,
question.
in fairness to us, let me defend us for a second.
defend us, defend us, morons.
There was an interview. I think Robert Rodriguez was pretty much lied to us. There was an interview that Robert
No,
Rodriguez
he would never do that.
and we like Robert Rodriguez, but there was an interview with Robert Rodriguez going into it that Robert Rodriguez said, "Oh, everything you
How
see
many
from
more
the
times can you
trailers-
say Robert Rodriguez?
that he said
Came out like 7
I
times.
did.
That was awesome.
That he
Wait,
said
who said it again?
there was an interview with Robert Rodriguez.
That is the hardest 2 words to put together that I've ever heard before.
There was an interview that he,
Robert.
before the premiere, said that everything we'd seen from the trailers was from like the first 20 minutes. It was just a blatant lie because we didn't see
That's awesome.
we didn't see any of the
No,
any of the
he's just
crime
like,
fight,
whatever.
any of that dinner scene, like the all at the
That was
table.
like
that was like the
episode
last
6
episode,
or
6 or
7.
7. Well, that wasn't true at all.
That's awesome.
The whole first episode was nothing we had seen. It was Boba with the whole
That's
first 3
great.
episodes was Boba with
Nothing.
the sand people and
people.
stuff,
Right.
which was great. Again,
Yeah.
they're also trying to throw you off, and I get
Yeah.
that's part of it.
That's true.
But-
Yeah.
To answer the question, what do you guys think? What have we?
I don't know. Initially, I would say, probably just the
I
first
feel like
2
it's
episodes.
front heavy. I feel like it's the
I
first.
think it's
couple
front heavy.
I feel like
My
it very
only
much feels like this is the
hesitation-
very beginning. Of
Maybe.
what
My only hesitation at all is that there may be some of the smaller shots, like the Inquisitorius castle thing.
Right.
That could easily be a shot that's later on in the show because it's
Yes.
kind of just a quick scene. You see it. The Inquisitors aren't there.
He's
but
probably
we
not
saw-
fighting Inquisitors. Maybe. he is
Yeah,
on the
so it's
first
like that could be
episode.
could
Yeah.
be the first episode, but that could also just be a shot that's, halfway through or maybe towards the end. I don't know.
Right.
That's not the very specific shot. It doesn't seem like it
Man.
didn't give a lot of context behind it. So
there is
I like to think it's front heavy, but Boba kind of
You never know.
changed my mind now.
I'm only bringing this quote up not to spoil anything. If you don't want to hear any, this isn't a spoiler. But
Spoil it. Spoil.
we were
No.
talking about the possibility. Ian McDermott's had some quotes recently of whether or not.
Yeah.
He had a quote that I saw posted yesterday. Star Wars Holocron, which is an account that posts a lot of Star Wars news. Ian McDermott on the possible Palpatine appearance in the future, on any possible
I saw
Palpatine.
this.
Quote, there's a certain show coming out soon, set right around the time that I may have been considered to be very active. Whether or not you'll see my physical body, I cannot comment on, but you will certainly feel my presence. That's what he said. So I'm like, he could possibly just be in it fully.
I've been saying I think I'll be in it.
I mean, it makes sense
Why
that
wouldn't he be?
if it's
Why
a
wouldn't he be?
Vader,
Always in the shadows, controlling
Yeah.
everything.
it's a
think he'll be it.
Vader.
Even if it's just
Exactly.
a hologram, it might be Vader.
Yeah.
What is I beating my master?
Yeah.
And it's hologram, classic. You get the hologram.
He's full speed,
Yeah.
man.
But I just love that
He's
Ian
back
McDermott.
there
There's a
doing
certain show.
Let him go.
Certain
Man.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A certain
Cool.
show.
So
Cad
gotta
I bring
Bane
that
too.
up, though.
People are thinking might
Did-
be in it.
there was a
gotta
little
be.
background. There's
Can't have Vader without Emperor at this point.
especially that time
Come
period.
Come on,
Yeah.
right then? That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
You'd be going, where's that the most powerful being in the universe?
Ooh.
Oh, and
Have we ever
Oh, he's
thought
not in
that
this show.
because we might see we'll likely see some Clone Wars era because they talked about de-aging flashbacks. Give me a little just Chancellor Palpatine. What if we saw Chancellor Palpatine again at that time? Why not?
Ooh.
That would be
What
awesome.
if we saw
We just
Jar
even if it's
Jar?
a scene of
Oh man.
we see a scene of just it's Anakin and Obi-Wan and they come even if it's they come across him just briefly.
we
oh
actually
gosh,
see Jar
awesome.
Jar in a flashback.
Jar Jar.
What did we name?
would love to
I
see
gave a
more Jar
name to
Jar.
that. Something character envy. What is it?
Oh, you
Something
did.
character
yeah.
envy.
Something about
You did have something.
cameos.
Oh yeah, character cameo envy. I don't remember. The idea that we just what else? Who?
What else?
Yeah, that's true.
But like some of them, I think you would have to.
Some of
have.
them just make sense.
Sure,
It's
yeah,
not
they-
like,
I try to
Jar
think
Jar
like
could be.
what
I mean, if
could
they
be
go
in
back,
the story.
why not?
Yeah. Not
we
like
said
oh, well,
possibly
this
Natalie
person was-
Portman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because that's such a strong presence of Anakin and
know.
Obi-Wan's character. It's
I know
all everything revolves around his entire fall revolves around Padme. So it's like why would she
Could
not be in it?
Man.
At least mention of her. And
Can you
stuff like that.
imagine the number of choices Deborah? I mean, how does she like possibly weed
How in
through
the
all
world?
this? Who wrote these? Do we know who wrote them?
Who wrote them?
Ooh,
We don't know that, do
I
we?
don't know.
it is posted. I think online.
Is it written by one?
I think it might be multiple writers.
Okay. Yeah,
She's
that's-
definitely the control showrunner.
I can't imagine though weeding through because it's all about what you say no to.
Yeah.
If you
Oh,
say,
yeah,
you could say
'cause
yes to
there's
everything,
so
it's like,
many.
oh yeah,
So
oh
many-
yeah.
Imagine
oh, yeah.
how many people are working with them too, like throwing out ideas and stuff that like deeper lore of like here's what's going on, telling you all the information,
Man.
what's from the shows, what happened in Clone Wars, what happened in
Are we going to be disappointed?
I don't think so.
no.
I am very
There
excited.
will be
for
some
this.
people that will be.
I hope not. Yeah.
Because
The fact that I'm getting Ewan
no matter what,
McGregor
there's people that-
is
we don't
Obi-Wan and
roll that
Hayden in
way.
it again is like
We don't
I never
roll that
thought
way.
I'd get any. So
I
I'm
don't-
not going in with even though I'm going in with the high expectation of like I think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be great just because I'm seeing characters I love again.
Yeah, that's
Right.
what I was gonna say.
It's not because
I'm
I was like, oh,
solely-
this is what
yeah.
needs
This
to
has
happen.
to happen.
I solely
Yeah.
think it's gonna
Something I
be
thought we'd
great
never
and
get.
do well because of the characters.
I agree.
And
I have
Deborah
no
Chow
expectations for the story or
Deborah
what's gonna
Chow
happen.
crushed it with her Mandalorian episodes.
Yeah.
Like her season 1 episodes are the best.
Definitely
Or
earned
some
enough
of my
cred
favorites.
to
Yeah.
go. Let's let
Yeah.
her make
Credits.
this whole thing.
Whoa.
Full
Credits.
Ooh.
We'll do fine.
Full sabak.
Full sabak.
Man.
Love it.
Next
How
one.
many we got left?
3. Maybe we go through some of these quick.
We just had 3 in a row for me.
We can do mine quick.
We can do mine quick.
What is your favorite Star Wars color? No, I'm just kidding. That's not what it says.
That was great.
This is one. This is mine. Line or quote that best captures the heart of Star Wars.
Ooh,
The
gosh.
heart of Star Wars.
So fill in what you think that is. Best line or quote. Line or quote
Well,
that
what
best
is
captures
the heart of
So if we
Star
talk about the
Wars?
hopefulness of, or someone asked me, someone said, "What wrap up the sequels for me?" And I said, you can rack up the sequels, and this way to me is that it doesn't matter what name you're born with. It matters what you do with your life.
Yeah,
I love it.
That's what it is, right?
Yeah,
that's the sequels.
So
I love
if
it.
you could think about all of
I
the
could go a sequel-
Skywalker saga, what would you?
I could go a sequel quote for maybe there's another sequel quote, the Rose Tico quote to Finn.
Oh yeah.
This is how we win. Not by fighting what we hate, by saving what we love.
That
And
is
that's a big one as far as the difference between the
And
light and the dark.
What's
is,
Poe's quote?
that's
When
right.
he realizes why Luke's there? No, he is the hope he is the spark
This
that will
spark
ignite
they'll
the-
That will ignite.
light the flame. They'll burn
That's
the
right.
First Order
Yeah.
down. It's
Failure the best teacher is.
Yeah,
That's-
my
that's
favorite.
one of my
favorite.
That's my favorite.
That's one
quote
of my favorite in all
all
of Star
time.
Wars.
Yeah,
It's
it's so
just-
good. Just
we are what they grow
life-
beyond. Talking about
Star Wars and what Star Wars is about of being hopeful.
Yep.
Yoda turns a quote about failure into a hopeful quote.
Yeah.
He's telling
I
you
love
that it's
it, too.
okay to fail.
folly. Yes,
To-
failure.
yeah.
Failure most of all.
That's
The
what I mean.
greatest
Yeah.
teacher.
I think
Could-
that is a great
could it
Star
be-
Wars quote.
Could it be that when Yoda corrects Obi-Wan, he's not just talking about Leia when he says, "That boy is our only hope"?
There's another.
No, there's another.
Yeah,
Is he
Talking about
maybe
Rey?
not talking about Leia? Is he talking about all of us? Like,
Th-
No, there's another.
more
Broom
here.
Boy.
there's another.
It's talking
Broom
about
Boy.
Ray.
Ray.
Hey.
No,
what
that's
about
yeah. That it's not.
could be that there's another hope.
Gosh. Hey, the sequel quotes. As far as I'm trying to think of there's some good original Yoda quotes that kind of warn you about the light and the dark, and there's talking about Luke of
Yoda's quotes in general.
never his mind on where he was, what he was doing, and thus always looking beyond.
Looking beyond.
Young
Skywalker.
But as far as like the big philosophical, just like way to live your life, those couple of quotes right there from the sequels are one of my favorites. Confronting fear is the destiny of a Jedi.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh,
It's not about. It's
I mean, you could argue Ryan Johnson just lays them down,
crush
like,
them.
one after another.
Yes.
There's the fact that
big picture quotes.
the fact that
confronting
that's
fears.
it's the destiny of a Jedi. Yeah, I
good.
find
Beautiful.
there's so much people can find it corny or whatever, but like that's inspirational. Like thinking like, yeah, it's okay to be like they're talking about. You're going to have fear. I mean, Yoda's. I'm not afraid. You will be.
You can't have courage without
You
fear.
will be. But giving
Courage
into the
is
fear,
Courage is stepping into fear. It's
Exactly.
doing it anyway.
letting the fear control you. That's what leads to
Right.
the dark side.
Right.
That's where Luke has the mistake. That's where Anakin really has the mistake.
Giving in.
The fear of what can happen versus confronting the fear
Mm-hmm.
and standing up to it and not letting it control you and lead you down a path where
Yeah.
it further dominates your destiny. But yeah, confronting fear is destiny of a Jedi is just
Luke
that's so
put
great.
in here said, "The ability to speak does not make you intelligent."
That's
Right.
great.
And then he said, "JK."
I was thinking,
What is
stop
it?
thinking with your cockpit. That might be up at the top
That's-
of
yeah.
top of the list.
That's one where you're like, that Carrie liked that line. That
Yes.
was a funny.
Can I do
line.
that one more time?
Can I do that one
Let
time?
me say that one more time.
Yeah. Man,
Finish the
yeah,
quote.
those. I mean,
Do it.
any quote revolving around hope
Mhm.
is Star Wars. Is a
Hope.
Star Wars.
Is that the heart of Star Wars? Hope.
I feel like
it's
if
Hope
there's
in the
one
face of
word to
adversity.
describe Star Wars, I feel
think
like
George
just
would
because
say
George
that.
would say,
It's
George
gotta
would
be hopeful.
always
He's
say,
so
hopeful.
it's always been about providing hope for kids.
There's
and
always
stuff.
never give up. There's always hope.
Yeah.
it's
Mm.
it
That's
is
what
standing
George
up for
would-
it's standing up for being there for your friends. It's standing up and doing the right thing. All these things just like a personal thing to live by, but like you said, as far as what George has always said about each of the movies, he's like it has to. One of the things when he was selling it was like it has to remain hopeful. It has to be inspirational. It has to inspire the next generation to
Mhm.
have hope.
Mhm.
It doesn't have hope. That's why George, I think, probably scoffs at some of the ideas of some people are like, oh, when are we gonna get like a rated R Star Wars? And he's like, never. That's not Star Wars.
That's not it. Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
if you want to do that for something else, cool. But that's not.
Mhm.
That's not just a pure dark Star Wars with no hope.
Yeah.
It's also
There's a
always like
reason
we don't
why-
get a Sith Lord as the center of.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
reason why they haven't. Not that they couldn't with like a show or something
Mhm.
just to do that.
Yeah.
They kind of tell.
But that's
that
why,
piece of the
like
story.
that quote
It's
with
part
Kathleen
of it.
Kennedy saying, the Obi-Wan series, it's which I don't even know if this is accurate or not, but something about it's gonna lead to. So there's going to be provided some sort of hope and make it more hopeful than probably people think. But
Mhm.
think about that though. That doesn't mean it's not going to be, brutal.
Despair,
and-
yeah.
it's-
Yeah.
Because one of look at Episode 3, arguably the most tragic of all the Star
Right,
Wars movies.
right.
But it's still hopeful in the
We
sense
end with the
you
birth
still
of
end
Luke and Leia.
with hope
Yeah.
and the most so it's like
Mm-hmm.
you can still have all that stuff and it still have that sort of tone or theme,
Yeah.
but still provide hope because
Right.
without having that, there's no need to have hope.
Yeah. Hope
If
is
everything's going well, there is no hope because
you don't-
everything's already going
you
well.
don't need
you
it.
don't need it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I love it. There's just those quotes are there. I was like, I want that on a poster. I want that in my office. I want
Yeah.
that. Confronting fears. The destiny of a Jedi. Failure. Greatest teacher failure is. It's like, that's
yeah, that might be up there for me.
every good business leader, coach, athlete, anybody who's like, oh, I learned way more from my failures than I did from
Absolutely.
That's like arguably my favorite quote.
when you win. Any good coach, Steve Kerr's like, yeah, when the Warriors are winning all their games, we're not learning as much as when you get just knocked on your butt and beat badly. You're like, yeah, that's
what
when you
happens
grow.
in a
It's
season when you
Right.
lose a game that you shouldn't have or something like that. A lot of teams say, honestly, I think
Without
we
that,
wanted to
wouldn't
win. We wanted
yeah.
to win, but I think that'll be good for our team in the long run towards the
Without
end of
that,
the season
that's
because
exactly
it's going
right.
to push us to realize we're not where we need to
Love
be.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Like it. Ooh, this is mine. What if
Ooh.
Ahsoka never left the Order?
Ooh.
Wow.
What changes?
What if Ahsoka never left the Order?
My thought around this was: is there any change to Anakin's downfall, or is that still pretty set in stone?
Is she there?
Is she there to be more of a, emotional support presence for
Mm.
him, or because in a sense he continues turning because he's afraid of losing everything he cares about, and specifically it becomes Padme, but it's after a series of events where he's lost this, he loses his mom, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
and then Padme was like the final straw. But if he had Ahsoka as someone that was there that he didn't lose, is there anything at all that changes, or was Padme enough to
This because
the fear of losing Padme enough still?
Mhm.
I don't know. Does
That's a good
Ahsoka
one,
does
yeah.
it change?
She definitely.
Or maybe not even that, just what happens in general. It doesn't have to be about Anakin, but
You got something first, Uncle?
I was gonna say, I don't think that she prevents his turn
Uh-huh.
yeah.
because while she
If-
did have she did have sway over him, he was moving
He was
that
still
way
going
in her
that way.
presence, moving.
That's true.
Moving that way.
That's true.
And Padme had such a strong hold.
And if you think if Padme and Obi-Wan couldn't prevent it, Ahsoka, not that Ahsoka,
I think she
The
would have
slaughtering
I
of the
mean-
Sand
I mean-
people had already happened
yeah,
because of the death of his mother.
Right.
So that
yeah.
Palpatine was still there in his ear. Was
I
putting
feel
it
like
out.
it
Even
would've
with
put her
Ahsoka,
in
he still
danger.
did things that
that might have been the biggest change. She would have been in the middle of the danger, having
Yeah.
still been under the control of the Jedi Order, being
she would have.
given orders. She was
Do you
at
think-
this point free to go because she
Yeah.
wasn't.
I
under
could
their
also see if
control.
she-
Would
she's a
she have tried to
hindrance.
stop him?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you think she would have gone there with Mace Windu and been
100%.
there and
Yeah.
then Anakin?
Yeah.
I
don't-
think so.
Don't.
I mean, just like if Obi-Wan was there and not on Utapau,
yeah,
100% he's going to confront.
yeah.
But isn't Mace
Yeah.
Windu going to go? No, you're too close to this. You can't be involved. She's in,
Yeah.
she's in the Jedi Order. Is she gonna
yeah.
go against
Well, that's 'cause,
them?
I mean,
or,
'cause
you
he-
know what I mean?
Well,
Yeah.
because he told.
Because
well,
Mace wants to kill.
'cause
he wants
we-
to kill the Emperor.
Well, because we forget.
Oh, at that
He
point,
doesn't
yeah.
want
At that
anybody
point,
Well,
he's
also,
he's
'cause
gotta
we-
die.
Because we
Yeah,
forget
yeah.
as we're kind of talking through there, they don't get us together to go confront Anakin. They go just to confront the Emperor,
Right.
and then
Yeah, not-
Anakin shows up
Right.
because
Yeah,
Anakin
yeah.
wants to go
He's
talk
like,
to the
"No,
Emperor,
you
and he
can't
says,
do
"No,
that."
you're too
Yeah.
close to this and all of this, and if what you told us is true, you've earned my trust. We need you to stay out of this."
Yep.
And to Mace's credit, he knew if
I
Anakin
need
was there,
him.
something bad was going to happen, and
Right.
Mace didn't know that it would result in his own death. But
Yeah.
the
We
But-
That's a
think.
great question.
but as
man.
far
I don't
as-
know.
if the I would say maybe even Ahsoka and Obi-Wan goes and confronts him on Mustafar.
Yeah,
Like, it's the Bo-
Ahsoka joins
Ahsoka joins Obi-Wan
definitely.
because they're like,
because she would have known.
here's your two closest outside of Padme, who ends up sneaking aboard anyways.
But-
Here's your two closest Jedi. Here's your mentor, and here's your Padawan. And also, if Anakin is what we say he is, we need help.
yeah.
Like
I'm
she's not
trying
going to go
think, though.
confront.
I'm trying to
the
think
Emperor.
because say she stays with the Order. Is it possible she still ends up in the same place in that moment, helping on Mandalore? Or would she not be there
Yeah,
because
yeah,
she's
she
not?
could
Because the
still-
Jedi were spread out.
just
she
like-
would be
just-
on some
right.
missions.
Just
That's
like
what I
sometimes.
mean.
Obi-Wan's.
Could she
Obi-Wan's
not
there.
still
She
have
wouldn't
been
even
on
been there.
Mandalore and still not have known anything about Anakin the whole time?
I think that's likely.
So there's a chance at that moment could not have been different, but I guess events leading up to that, she could have been in danger, or at least maybe been with Anakin in the presence of Palpatine more. Anakin being in the presence of Palpatine by himself was not good,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they wanted him to spy on
Yeah.
Palpatine, but with him actually being forced to help a Padawan
Yeah.
He's going to be obviously doing both. She would be there.
See, the one thing about it is it's important to remember is I don't think Anakin. I think most villains are doing bad things for good reasons. Like in their mind, they justify the evil because there's a good that's
Yeah.
coming from it.
I want to save Padme's life.
And his was selfish. And it's hard to justify that with the killing of all the younglings, right? I think at that point he's taken it. The beginning of it was I want to do something good, so I need to embrace the dark side to learn how to save this, and then I'm not gonna follow you. I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
But once he submits, then he's actually his eyes change color.
Yep.
He's actually taken over by
He's
the dark
consumed.
side. So when he walks into the Jedi Temple, that's not Anakin anymore.
This is
You
a
know what I mean?
this is
Oh,
a,
yeah.
a
When he
very
walked in with the 5-0 first.
That's not Anakin.
Yeah.
this is a very
Vader.
obscure reference, but Jurassic Park 3.
I'll allow it.
Dr. Alan Grant is talking to Billy.
Mhm.
Billy is the young guy who steals the raptor eggs. And I just remember one of the lines from this movie that's I haven't seen Jurassic Park 3 in a long time. But Billy takes the raptor eggs because he thinks they're valuable, but he doesn't tell anybody, and they end up, going on this thing to go find the kid and all of this stuff, and then they're trying to get out of there, and they get hunted by raptors, and they end up finding why.
Looking for the eggs.
They're looking for the eggs,
Yeah.
and then he opens Billy's bag and he sees that Billy's got the egg, and Billy's talking. He's got the eggs, and Billy's like, "Listen, to I just you gotta believe me. I was doing this I had the best intentions." And Dr. Grant's thing is, Billy, some of the worst things imaginable have been done with the best intentions.
Right.
And I just remember thinking, I was like, "Oh, that's true." Everyone, any probably dictator, anyone in human history they think they're doing right.
They're trying
Now
to do
they're morphed
something.
and skewed and all this stuff, but they
Yes.
think that what they're doing, they
Well,
don't
they
think
get
I'm
to
going to
that
wake
point
up
and
and
they
do
realize
something
I can
terrible
do
today.
more.
They think
They know
that
they're doing bad, but they're thinking there's a greater
They
good at the
think that
end
there's a
that's
reason.
worth
Yeah.
it, right?
Thanos says I'm
Yeah.
doing this planet's praised me because
That's right.
you should thank me because I made a better universe like that. But he killed half.
They
the
are
population.
demented and sick,
Yeah,
but they're in their own mind. They're
In their own
justified
mind,
by
they're
what
justified.
they think is the greater good.
yeah.
And I think
Run from it.
I think
Destiny
Anakin
arrives
was
all the
thinking
same.
that way. So I'm not sure Padme would have been, or Ahsoka would have been able to
Yeah.
assuage him of that.
Yeah.
It also just feels.
Thought.
It
I wonder if
feels
she
like
though would have been able to help the council. Like if she would have seen the stuff
Right.
that Palpatine's telling Anakin, there would have been more eyes showing.
You don't know.
Palpatine's definitely the Sith Lord
Something's-
we've been looking for.
Right.
I'll tell the council too,
Mhm.
and they'll believe.
yeah.
Maybe with both of them saying it. Just maybe then the council knows more. I don't know. It just
Right.
This
seems
feels like maybe Palpatine gets his hooks in Anakin too deep,
yeah.
where that and then
Takes that, yeah.
Yeah.
that he's just that Palpatine knows I've got him. It's just a matter of time. I'm just getting him to the
Yeah.
right point, and then it finally comes to a head, and
Yep.
and here it is. Anakin, I told you the Jedi are taking over. Like, this is whole thing that he knew. It's only because he loves Padme so much, and he's having these visions. He's shared this with me. I've got him. It's fear. If
Yeah.
I can play into the fear, it's
Yep.
even if Ahsoka's there, she's gonna be trying to help him. But it's even more than he loves Ahsoka. He loves Padme, and it's ultimately he would do the same thing. I think. But I do think that she ends up in some sort of the confrontation with him as
It happens sooner. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a good one.
Man.
Yeah.
We got one left.
One, I think.
Last one.
You got it.
Ooh.
Make him read it.
Yeah, you read it.
Read it.
Read it. Read it. Out loud.
He's just silent. That's
No,
it.
I like
That's
this.
a good one. Thanks
You're
for
in a
watching.
space battle in an X-wing.
Okay, I like this question.
Who do you pick for your wingman? I like this.
come-
This is a
is this
good
you?
one.
That's mine.
Oh,
love
I
it.
like it.
Oh gosh.
You said it earlier. Oh, Am I the
Wingman,
pilot?
Is that different than co-pilot?
Yes. I'm imagining Obi-Wan and Anakin attacking
Yeah.
with the buzz droids.
Perfect.
I'm imagining that scenario.
That's
You're in
what
an
I was
X-wing.
Yeah. Who do you got?
Who is your
Oh,
wingman?
Who's
so
flying
who's your
beside you?
who's flying beside
Yeah,
you?
wingman. Gosh.
Hera.
Ooh.
You said it earlier.
Man, how could you?
Harrison
Great.
How
Dula.
could you go wrong?
I'll tell you who
General
really,
Sandula.
he shows his flying chops in Last Jedi, but also
Chopper.
Force Awakens.
Oh,
Poe.
Poe.
When he
If it's an X-wing, I mean, how do you?
That
Anakin's a good pilot too.
Anakin's a good
that
pilot.
display of him in Force Awakens though.
That's
Bang,
sick.
bang, 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 bang.
One heck of a
Oh,
pilot.
heck of a pilot. This is while the Harrison's down there. I like this thing. He's shooting people on the ground.
Picking them
but-
off one at a
like,
time.
but Poe is like, holy cow.
Yeah.
He also took down a dreadnought,
I know who I don't
which
pick.
I think was impressive.
Really.
Which I didn't really know about, but
I don't
it was
pick
impressive.
Biggs. Yeah, you've done enough back there. Get out of the way.
Exactly. Good luck. Out of there.
What?
Why?
That's it. Yeah, you can't do any more good back there. See ya. You can go up and come around the back and shoot him from behind. It's just a thought.
Hang on, Dak.
Hang on,
Dak.
Dak.
Oh,
well.
Dak.
Uh,
Well,
He's
like-
gone.
More like dead.
Dead Dak.
Uh,
Those are all
man.
good. I mean,
yeah. You've got. I mean,
Han.
also,
He'll get you
Well,
anywhere in 12
Han,
parsecs.
if you're
doesn't
you're
have to
saying
be in another X-wing. It could be any.
true.
just a good
I
pilot.
was
I
gonna
mean,
say
Han
if
and
it
the
is-
Falcon right next to you.
I was gonna say if it is in an X-wing, and I know that Luke Skywalker flies an X-wing and has the Force.
That's what I said. Luke, Anakin.
Luke Skywalker.
Luke Skywalker in the X-wing next to me, he makes me feel a little more comfortable.
Right.
Although everyone's
I
after,
want-
although everyone's after him, so
I want-
Kind of put a target on you.
people who fly next to Luke don't last too
No.
long in the
I
trenches.
want me in an X-wing with young Annie doing spins.
Oh, man. I thought for sure you were going to say Carson, but, it's just.
Oh, give me Carson Teva.
Carson.
Give me
Teva.
Carson. Maybe I just go on.
Filoni.
I just go on a ride along with Carson. We just make a couple of
Ride-along.
stops, have some donuts,
Oh,
rest a
man.
couple
you could
of
throw in
space
Boba. You could
junkies.
throw in
Filoni.
Boba or Mando.
Oh, Boba.
rest a couple of spice
With
heads.
Slave 1? Give me
Man.
Boba because I just want the sound of that
Ooh.
seismic charge.
Just get me out of the way, though. I don't want to get hit by that thing. Don't do. Am I out of the way? Drop it. Do it. No,
Do it.
Are you sure this is gonna
Get him, Dad!
I don't
We
hear
got him.
anything.
I got him. They don't do it.
They don't do it.
Give me
Finish him off.
Finish him off. Boba. Grab your things. We're leaving.
We're leaving.
give me Pelimoto. No, we've never seen her fly.
Give me Chopper. The droid.
Chopper.
Oh, man.
Calculate it. R2.
Obi-Wan hates flying.
Can't be him.
Blast. That's why I hate flying. Dooku. He gets away on that speeder.
Dooku's got that. Yeah, he's speeder. That speeder's great.
That speeder
That
on
speeder's
on
great. On
Geonosis.
Geonosis. That speeder is great.
Oh, man.
Oh man.
Good pilots, though. Hera would be nice.
I think
mean,
I would.
a
Great.
Force user like Luke and Anakin would be pretty
Anakin's
solid.
hard to
but
beat.
Anakin, give me Anakin in a pod race.
Well, what would Obi-Wan say about
pod
Anakin's
racer.
starfighter abilities? The best starfighter in the galaxy.
Was
a
cunning warrior.
and it was a good friend.
good friend.
Which we'll find out on Disney Plus.
Although if you're flying with if you're flying,
Which we didn't get a ton of.
flying next to Anakin, he might just jump out for a minute and float down a while.
Really?
It's true. In space. You're talking about in space. In space. He jumps out without a helmet and immediately dies. Woo! Lost is why I hate when he does a zero gravity thing.
Just,
He just floats away.
It's just like,
sorry,
Anakin.
Master.
There's no gravity.
How about that though? That was
Great.
cool.
Mhm.
oh man.
Was that episode?
There's some good
Was
pilots.
that episode 3?
There's some great
Yeah,
pilots.
Episode 3. He jumps
Man.
out.
Yeah. The added Force users, Anakin's hard to
Yeah.
beat.
Anakin's hard to beat.
If not, I can't go. Poe would be like
Poe's
Nine.
pretty.
Poe.
it's amazing.
Han's a good
In terms of-
pilot.
in terms of
Fearless.
shooting and
Does
stuff
Han-
too.
Yeah.
Hera's a
Han's a-
great pilot, but she doesn't necessarily do all the shooting.
Let's
No.
face it.
That's usually
Aw,
someone
she's a
else.
cap-
It's
she's a
usually
captain,
Zeb
yeah.
or-
Han's a good captain. He's
Yeah.
a great.
And let's
He's a
face
great
it,
pilot.
Yeah.
Han's a great pilot
He can
too.
be
We
flying.
all know that. And we're big Han guys here.
Yeah.
Doesn't it feel like Han's also running on just some insane luck? Like Han's luck meters through the roof.
It
Like
is.
he is a great pilot. There's also
It's
like
lucky. Right.
this Poe looks like he's just a wizard.
And
he
knows
He's in
it.
the cockpit. He knows he lives and breathes it. Han's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I won the ship and game of Sabak, and also I'm a pilot. Why? Because I got us out of a jam.
I
I didn't get cut, did I?
Right.
Like that's Han's.
Exactly.
That's
It
Han's
was
whole thing.
12.
Yeah.
That was 12.
Even though he's a great
what was
pilot.
the other one?
He's a great pilot, but
Never
Poe-
had to deal with Conjure Club.
Poe feels like he's like
Yeah, the-
winning
the-
competitions
the-
and
the-
stuff. Like
Yes.
he's,
Oh,
he's
yes.
like unreal.
A master.
Speaking of competitions, Resistance
Resistance is great.
pilots.
We
They
need
do
to
the
get.
flying competitions.
I know, they
the
do,
Races.
Wait, give me wait, is it Kaz?
Kaz.
Give me Kaz.
Kaz.
I haven't seen Resistance.
So
Good.
Resistance, I am going to get back in because I don't think I ever finished the last few
Season
episodes.
2 of season.
It's only 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
It is definitely skewed towards a younger audience, but there's
Yeah.
some gems in there. I mean,
The
you get,
animation though,
you get
style
Oscar
is
Isaac
very
as
cool.
Poe,
Oh, really?
but the
Yeah.
animation is beautiful,
Wow.
incredible.
Different than the other animation. It looks
Huh.
really cool.
If you
yeah.
just pulled up a trailer of that, you'll just see the animation. You'll go, "This is
Yeah.
so cool."
Pyre,
Pyre, gold,
gold,
solid gold
stormtrooper
stormtrooper.
suit.
Oh, wow.
Commander Pyre, Commander,
Commander.
Captain Pyre,
Cool.
Commander Pyre.
Yeah, very cool. Phasma's
Pyre.
in it. Gwendolyn Christie
Phasma's
as
in
Phasma is
it.
in
Yeah,
it.
it takes place. It's
This is pre Rise of Skywalker.
pre Rise of Skywalker.
Okay.
I think the season 1 is that before Last Jedi, and the other one goes through Last Jedi.
Maybe I know that.
Something like that.
Yeah. Because in the first season they do show. It goes through Force Awakens and Last Jedi because they
Yeah.
show them watching on the holocron, on which we stand,
They
the
show that.
last,
And it's the actual audio.
They show
yeah. They
Hux,
show them
they show
watching,
Hux and them watching, it
listening
on
to the.
on
So
the
that
hologram.
Oh, that's
announcement is
hilarious.
going broadcast everywhere.
Everywhere.
Not just for the First Order.
Wow.
So they're watching it like,
It's really
oh
cool.
my gosh.
It's a show I'll revisit for sure.
Yeah, I do
I'll have
need
to watch it.
revisit it.
And it's also not a ton of episodes.
Yeah.
But there is a little more of a prequel vibe to it. Of like, there's a lot of Kaz slipping and falling. Like, there's a lot of whoop.
yeah.
But there's also them they're on a star
Cool missions.
They're on
and
a
stuff.
port. They're also on like a port. Oh, the beginning. You get the beginning of the Starkiller base hollowing out these planets
Yeah.
to try to get the to use the core to turn
Really?
into. And then they talk about how
Oh,
they
wow.
use Ilum as Starkiller base. And
Ilum.
it gets into all this
Huh.
stuff. It's cool.
Wow.
It's cool
Yeah.
stuff.
I'll have
So
to check it out.
it's
Poor Ilum.
it's classic. On the surface looks kind of kiddie, and then all of a sudden you sit down and watch, and I'm like, whoa, this is. They had a episode about, this family whose planet was ravaged by Kylo Ren, and then they're they're kind of like refugees to this place, but then they take them in, and then you have these star pilot races who are trying to earn
That's what
their
made me think
wings.
of it.
They're like having these competitions
Cool.
and all this stuff. It's
Because the base,
The
aircraft,
Colossus?
the Colossus that everybody lives on has a piloting, like security crew. It's
Hmm.
like professional pilots. They race and people bet on them and
Oh,
stuff.
wow.
But in the meantime, they do that in the meantime. But their real purpose is that they're to be called upon if they
So it
ever
keeps
get
them
attacked
sharp
and
and
stuff
kind
like
of
that.
like-
Oh,
Yeah,
and there's
okay.
undercover resistance and undercover.
Undercover resistance.
Oh, I mean, it gets a little Lost Starsy too, like Lost Starsy, but it gets like one of Kaz's best friends. I can't remember her name. Tam gets
Yeah.
recruited to join the Empire. Like, and there's this whole like his best friend, and like there's
Wow.
this.
Yeah,
That's cool.
But it's because she's been like someone who comes in and is talking to her
That's
and tries to
true.
get her and is like, listen to this, and just convince. It's
It is
really
very-
good
that was
stuff.
definitely
Wow.
Good stuff.
Let's check it
it's
out.
good.
Good.
Luke
stuff.
said R2D2 as a
It's hard to
R2
beat a
flies in
droid.
Mando
It's hard
too.
to beat a
droids
droid.
never failed a mission. That's
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Are we
Yeah.
overlooking Ray?
I think we are overlooking Ray.
Yeah.
Ray's
I mean,
great.
How
we
about
know she's
Ray's-
got some special.
One of Ray's
definitely
coolest
has- I
moves
like
is when
this.
she's flying and stops because the things broke.
Just to line up the gun.
gunner's jammed.
just to line up the gun with the whole.
I mean, even
Falcon.
yeah,
I bypassed the compressor. How did you do that? Some move, Milker.
Some
Put
move,
a-
Milker put a.
I love it.
You know.
yeah.
I bypassed the compressor.
the compressor.
Hans. Like she's annoyingly good at this. That was great. I love it. Now there's some good. If you're going Force users, you got Rey, you got
Mhm.
Anakin. You definitely have well,
Luke,
I was gonna say Finn needs a pilot, so he's not a pilot. Finn says I need a pilot.
I need a pilot.
This is a
They've got
tangent.
one.
This is a tangent, but people get upset. They're like, "Oh, Ray, she was just so good at everything naturally. Like, oh, well, she's just a good pilot. Just there's no backstory. She just happens to be good at it. She just happens to be good at the
I'll
Force."
try spinning. That's a cool trick.
Anakin's winning pod races at 4 years old.
Right. He's like, I know.
While getting shot by sand
Exactly.
people.
Luke is deflecting blasts with his lightsaber in 7 seconds, blindfolded.
Anakin
Yes. Yes, natural ability is part of
Yes,
being a
and
super
Anakin
a
is
Jedi.
Anakin is both, outmaneuvering the entire Trade Federation at the same maturity level, at the same age that earlier in that day he's getting going, wahoo! And he's going over with Kitster and they're all dancing, talking about that was totally
It's
Wizard,
natural.
Annie. Like he's
That was
Right.
totally Wizard.
they are children. They
Natural
are
ability.
absolute. This is raised, she's in her 20s.
Right.
He's he is literally a child. He is a child who's defeating everybody, and we're not like boo. I mean, people that were critical of the prequels, it wasn't the criticism
wasn't the criticism.
wasn't that Anakin at 8 wouldn't be that good. It was just like, did we need Anakin at 8?
Right.
Could just skip ahead.
Right.
It wasn't. People totally
No,
accepted.
no
it. He
8-year-old
do
could
it.
do that. Well,
His midichlorians off the scale? How? He's only 8. He's only 9. Because it's a chosen one.
I never had a problem with
Yeah.
that. Is that a problem people have that Rey suddenly has abilities?
It was a thing that people.
That's
were,
what
people said.
Robert
That it was like it was
Thompson's
just
joking
never.
about with the
Yeah.
plot. Oh, the hero's journey. They just give her everything. And
Right.
I like this. That was the joke.
Oh, that's
It's like,
so.
Yeah.
He's saying that she just.
He was, and
Never
again,
thought
that's
that was
a.
weird at
everything
all.
was
I
good.
thought
That's
every
a, that
power
was that's more of
Jedi had
that was
that.
part
I
of the
That
part of the
was part of
criticism
the
was people
criticism.
saying like, oh, that she somehow is
She could
with
just
no
defeat
training
Kylo
is able to
Ren.
do all this stuff. We're like,
Yeah.
well, Luke had minimal,
Yeah.
very minimal
Kind of.
training.
That's kind of how it is.
yeah, that's how it is. I mean, that's how it is. I love it.
Yeah, that was
Good
it.
stuff. All right.
Wait, what?
That's it.
That's it?
Boo.
That's it.
And we just sit here.
We just sit here.
Well, that's it.
Well, as Mike mentioned earlier, we'll definitely do. We tried to avoid. I mean, you can't help but to bring up Last Jedi, but we tried to avoid some. At least
can
I
I?
did.
Can I? I know we're shutting down, but are we gonna do anything for May 4th?
I think we'll have to record something.
We gotta do something.
We gotta do something.
We'll do something.
Do you want us to do a 24-hour podcast? They're like, no. It's like,
I love
Do
it.
you
that'd be awesome.
That
I'd
would
love
That'd be
so-
great. Just turn it on at midnight.
turn on?
Nobody's sitting in the chairs, but it's the podcast.
we
It's a
just
triple
We'll
show.
pop in and we'll just like
It's
talk.
It's just the chairs
That's it.
until our
It's the chairs.
podcast time. We
Until-
show
We
up
just
and do our
have-
normal
We
podcast.
just have music like Lupin.
I love
Star
it.
Wars Guys podcast. Star Wars Guys, and it just runs. And Google's like, "Is this real?" And they're shutting it down.
It's the.
And we pop in. We could just pop in and talk about something. But it's I mean,
You
For
know, there's going to
24
be
hours
some
straight.
news on May 4th. There'll be
Oh,
something to talk
there's
about.
for sure stuff that's gonna be. There's gonna be stuff. There's
Oh,
there's gonna be a lot of stuff coming Star Wars Celebration, but May 4th.
yeah.
There's gonna be
which we still
there's
need
gonna
to
be stuff.
figure out how we're going.
We have to go next year. We got to
We
plan.
do.
We got to plan in advance.
Okay, so are we doing anything? Well,
We'll figure it out.
Answer is yes. We just need to figure
we
out.
just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
All
We
right.
definitely will. I would guess that there will be probably some Kenobi footage we'll have to react to on that day.
Have to.
Yeah.
Have to.
All right, I'm down.
Or discuss. Or maybe there's not.
Or maybe
Totally
Do we
wrong.
have any big announcements to make?
Do we?
I'm sure we can think of something.
We'll have something.
Wait, do we-
Huge announcement going from the
Huge
Star Wars
announcement.
guys.
Wait, do you mean do we have
on,
any announcements to make now or
on
for
May 4th? Oh, we're gonna think. Are we gonna announce anything on May 4th?
Oh.
We'll announce something.
I'll announce right now that we're gonna announce something on May the 4th.
I like that.
and
I like
I
that.
will
I'll
announce
announce that he just announced that we're going to announce something on
I
an
didn't even. We
announcement
didn't
on
talk
May
about.
4th.
That wasn't in here. It just totally.
I love it.
Totally made
I
that up.
love it because that was so. They were like, this has to have been planned. That was so smooth. Just proving it wasn't even in here.
See,
Hard to believe.
so smooth.
Hard to
Wasn't
believe.
even in here.
came right out of there.
I love
Right
it.
out of here. Right into there.
We'll make an announcement on. Maybe we'll
Yeah.
announce one of our animated shows we've got in the works or Tales of the Star
that
Wars
would be-
guys.
That would be
Tales
awesome.
of the Star Wars guys.
Tales of the Star Wars guys.
I
We
feel
go
like-
off
Oh, we
on
have our comic
adventures
coming
and-
out too.
Oh, that's right. the
But
comic.
we won't announce that yet. We'll announce
That's not
that.
the announcement.
We'll
It's the comic adaptation of our podcast.
yeah.
It's just each frame is just us sitting here and it talks to
Tales of the Star
Tales
Wars
of the Star Wars
guys.
guys.
Well, sitting,
I love it.
sitting around watching the Resistance
This is
drinking
a-
Kickstart.
This is
That's the that's
in
episode
robes,
one.
This is
Robes and masks.
episode 3. Lights. That's what it's called. Uncle brings in the
We're
lights.
sitting in the
changes
dark
changes
podcasting. Oh, you can see.
The first panel is just Nate and I huddled over a fire, but also our one microphone there as we podcast in the dark.
Oh man,
us
our
podcasting.
podcast has come a long way.
Man, we need the helmet to keep us anywhere close to on the rails.
To remind us of
certainly
what
do.
our podcast.
Bottom
we-
line, big announcement.
Big announcement.
Huge
coming.
announcement. Nate's gonna give you on Wednesday.
Yeah, Nate
That is
will
true.
Give you one.
Yeah,
Nate will come up with one and give you one.
Nate's got to get. We got. I think we've got a big.
It's a good
announcement.
one. It's a
I
good
think
one.
it's a
Yeah,
good
it'll
one.
be good.
That'll
Yeah.
be good.
It'll be good.
You definitely
that
don't,
said-
don't want to miss it.
We'll do something May 4th, so be on the lookout for Star Wars Day. May the
Yeah.
4th be with you soon.
Soon. That sounded like the ending.
I was
I
gonna
know.
say. I was like,
Go.
you
gotta have a quote.
Try spinning. That's cool trick.
Soon.
He switched tones on us.
I
Like,
know. Throw 'em off.
When he adds the lisp, that means it's not over yet. May the 4th be with you. It's not the end of the podcast.
That's right. Ebony, that's all, folks.
It's just the
We need
beginning.
to post that on social media. That's not the end of the podcast.
So many
Oh,
great
man.
clips in
This
the
is
last 5
great.
minutes. All right. Well, as always, thanks for tuning in, Forest family. We appreciate it. You can find us, message us with any topic ideas, questions you want us to cover on any future episodes. You can message us on Instagram at Star Wars Guys Pod. You can also drop drop your comments in the comment section here on our YouTube video.
Robert Rodriguez.
And
Robert
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. We appreciate y'all tuning in. And as always, may the Force be with you.
No. First time we've ever started